BC.
How's it going?
Good, man. How are you doing? It's been a long time.
Long time.
All right. Well, this is the Player Development Podcast. I appreciate you coming on here with me, man. You were one of my favorites. You and Antoine tied for first. Tied for first place.
Yeah.
Favorite player. Brian Cox, where are you from?
Tallahassee, Florida.
Tallahassee, Florida. Where'd you play high school baseball?
North Florida Christian and Florida High.
North Florida Christian and Florida. Florida High is a developmental research school associated with Florida State University. The importance of Florida High is it has an incredibly rich history in all athletics, but primarily baseball. The legend, Jeff Hogan, who was also one of your coaches, who I coached with in college when you came to play for us. He was your coach there. Several state championships. He's in several Hall of Fames, and you got the pleasure of working with him through high school. And were you not the player of the year in high school?
My senior year at Florida High, I was the 2A player.
2A player of the year. So there's not many of those guys.
Nah.
No. And then you had a lot of offers all over the place. We do know that, but we recruited you to come to play for us at TCC. Now, that was with McLeod and me and Jeff Hogan. And Jeff, certainly knowing the caliber player that you were, kind of nice to have that influence there. And you signed and played with us.
Yep.
And that was the year that we went from a good program to an elite program. And lots of folks will look at junior college and say, JUCO, why go JUCO? Get a bat. Yeah. Come up to the Panhandle Conference.
Yeah.
Get a bat.
We had a lot of talent.
Had a lot of talent.
I always say my freshman year at TCC was probably one of the most talented teams I've ever.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Todd Cutchins, and you had Mike Davis, and you had, the Ryan Friels of the world. And
Ryan Friel played in the big leagues for a while.
Yeah.
John Millicent.
Yeah. I remember we had a guy named Brian Harvey, who was hurt and couldn't play, but the talent, was obviously there day in and day out with these guys,
Yeah.
It was still to this day, I think, talent-wise.
Just holistic. And that's really what the JUCO program is. Yeah. It's a little bit of the Wild West.
Yeah.
But these are guys that still have draft eligibility, like you were draft and follow out of high school, right?
Yep. No, I didn't get drafted out of high school.
You didn't get drafted out of high school.
No.
Okay. No. But that's where you go if you are draft and follow. So it's a more of a broad perspective of players, and especially in that conference. Now, Brian Henry, about a year, he's now the coach over there, which he sat down on the podcast with us as well. But when you came with us, we went boom. And we went to the postseason that first year down there and did all right, did our thing, ran into some couple of buzzsaws, but it is what it is. Yeah. Now, from us, from TCC, you went to Florida State.
Yep.
Okay, was that always a goal for you?
Yeah, I mean, probably one of the main reason I went to TCC, you got the draft and follow, and you got other kids, doing it for certain reasons. I was skinny. I was a skinny kid, and a lot of the four-year schools, I had a lot from junior college. A lot of the four-year schools weren't, really beating down my door when you're, 6'1", 153 pounds, 155 pounds soaking wet. Right. So the TCC was perfect for me. I wasn't ready, for those places yet. But yeah, I would say growing up, born and raised in Tallahassee, I was a Gator fan until I was basically the day before I signed with Florida State. As far as football goes, I was actually a Gator fan, a big Steve Spurrier fan.
Yeah.
But when Florida State calls, growing up, born and raised there, you see it right around the corner. Those guys were like gods.
Oh.
Yes, so it was definitely a dream come true.
And you got to achieve that dream, and this is really cool. I've been calling you for a while, and we finally got to sit down to do this. Here's really the important thing that we're going to talk a lot about. In 1997 was your first year at Florida State.
Yep.
You hit 264.
Yep.
33 hits, 2 home runs, 14 RBIs, and 19 base on balls.
Pretty poor, right?
It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. Is it okay for an elite level program that's been in the College World Series 18 times?
Right.
It may be 19. I forget what it is, but it's an absurd amount of times that Florida State's been out there. It's okay.
Yeah, at best.
But In 1998, 1 year, you went from hitting 264 to 393. You almost hit 400 at high Division I. 112 hits, 18 home runs for a skinny guy, 87 RBIs in a 60-game season and 40 base hit balls. And your team went to the Omaha. You went to the College World Series.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a lot in just a moment about how you go from a good college player to elite All-American, first team, also first team All-ACC. So it just took 1 year, actually less than a year, to go from there up. Also been drafted as well and played with Atlanta for a while, correct? What round were you drafted in after?
Excuse me for not knowing.
It was mid-round, 20-something.
23 maybe?
Yeah.
Somewhere around 23.
So the top, then we had like 68 rounds in the draft.
Right.
Now may not even be a draft guy. Who knows? But it's just certainly different. What kind of a player were you? Now, we're going to get to all this stuff I just talked about, but it's important to kind of frame this.
Right.
You said you were a skinny kid. And I remember you in high school. And
very skinny.
You were a skinny guy, tall, lean.
Yeah.
Describe yourself as a player. Are you an aggressive player? Or are you a laid-back guy? Are you a guy that's a big power guy, speed guy? What makes Brian Cox a baseball player?
I think I was more of a laid-back guy. I wasn't really a rah-rah guy. I seemed to do everything, average, maybe above average. But I did all of those things kind of above average,
So ran well enough.
I ran well enough, hit well enough, ran well enough, threw well enough, did all those things, could fill, numerous positions. In high school I played shortstop and I was a closer. In junior college, my first year I played center field. My second year, I started at second and ended up at third. And then my junior year at Florida State, I played right field and first base. And then my senior year, I played center field again. When I got drafted, I was a center fielder. I played 2 years as a center fielder, and I got turned into a pitcher. Right. So I think just being above average athletically, and doing everything, kind of above average and doing those things well.
Right. But not any one thing leading the way, like power or speed or something like that.
I was an average runner, but I could steal bases. Yeah. I could steal some bases. I don't know. When I was at Florida State, I think I stole 20 or 30, my senior year. I could hit a few home runs. They would jump out at you every now and then. Yeah. I seemed to not strike out a bunch, put the barrel on the ball. Ball came to me in the field, 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, I could pick it up and get somebody out. So I just think doing everything, above average really, really helped me out a lot. I didn't have one tool that really, 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 really stood out.
So as a player, when did you think or know you wanted to play or could play at the next level? Is there a moment that it hit you, a game that you said, or facing a certain dude? Or when was that time where had that always been a dream to play at the next level?
I had moments, I would have, like my junior year at Florida High, I had arm surgery. I couldn't really play in the field. One of our guys got hurt, so I was forced to go to second base because, so I didn't have to throw it that far. I had a so-so year my junior year. I think probably my quarter of the way through my senior year in high school is kind of where I really felt like, especially with Coach Hogan, reiterating it in my ear and telling me every day and, the things that I needed to do and what I was doing well and, how I stacked up against other people. I think at that moment it probably struck me that, I didn't know that I would go as far as I did. I never really had dreams of going, everybody dreams of playing in Major League Baseball. But, you don't really envision, I didn't really envision, that for myself.
Right. You're just going, being
day by day, being an athlete. You dream of it, of course, but, when you sit back and think one day I'm going to be a Major League player, you're not dead sure. It's hard to see big picture,
Well, especially Florida High, and you got guys that are roaming around there that are. The off-season guys, like a David Ross, and you played with David Ross.
Yeah.
And he's a buddy of yours.
You see a David Ross. He's 6'2", he's 200 pounds as a junior in high school. You forget real quick. I was 6'1", I was 153, 155 pounds soaking wet. So it was hard to picture for me, and then, I started growing a little bit. I started getting a little bit thicker, a little bit thicker at TCC, a little bit thicker at Florida State. So, but I was, my middle of my senior year, first quarter of my senior year was when I kind of felt like, okay, I caught up, you know what I mean?
Right. Now you're not behind it.
Yeah.
Now you're at it, kind of ahead of it. You're kind of dictating your own fate. But Jeff was really good about that. Of course, working with him in college too, it's a different conversation that you have with athletes. But having somebody that you go, okay, he knows what he's talking about. Jeff Hogan obviously coached in pro ball, and he's a legend. He's in Hall of Fames, and
I was lucky.
The small world of baseball, they know who he is. Yeah. There aren't many of him.
I was very lucky.
You're very lucky. We were both very lucky.
My hitting coach in high school didn't follow me to TCC.
Didn't follow you to college.
You know what I mean? To have that guy there every day, it was a blessing for me.
Right.
I don't think I would have got where I was with that.
Well, and a guy like that saying, look, you can do this.
Yeah.
You can do this. Because most athletes and parents that are watching and coaches and things like that, sometimes there's a moment like that guy throws 94 and I hit him like kind of on purpose. Sometimes there's that moment, but most of the time it's kind of like, look, you can do this.
Yeah.
All you need to do is these two.
Yeah.
And have that somebody, I wouldn't say push you, but just kind of direct you.
Sure.
You got a chance here.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's good at that. He's good at putting on a hitting session. He's good at working with you. He's good at making you want to run through a brick wall when he gets with you.
Right.
So,
and having coached you and know you, what I can say is your level of grit and toughness, and I don't think you can teach it to everybody.
No.
I think you have it.
Yeah, you do.
You either have it or you don't. You have it. There's no fear. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Skinny guy.
Yeah.
But let's get it on and see what we got. So there was, with coaching you was such a pleasure. Number one, because you're there early.
Yeah.
You're never going to be outworked. You love to hit. You love to throw. Let's go. And we're having fun doing it. So you had all the components, the makeup of a college player was in you. And of course, with all the guys that we recruited around you, it was such a great fit. But you were, I would say Ryan was pretty tough too.
Ryan was
tough. But you two guys were two tough kids.
He was tough.
That kind of got after it there. So, as you were working with us in junior college, compare, and now you worked with Coach Hogan and Coach Hollenbeck in high school. The difference organizationally, expectation-wise, all of that kind of stuff, the difference between high school and when you got to us in junior college. What were some differences that ring, the pace, the expectation, stuff like that?
I would say you got a lot more time. You got a lot more time to execute what it is you're going to do every day. In high school, there was a lot less, cutoffs and relays. There was a lot less. You got less swings. You had less time. Junior college, a lot more time. Better coaching, more time at the coaches. That's what the coaches did. They didn't have to teach class. They didn't have time to, they didn't do all that other stuff. So putting together a practice plan and it being organized, the gym, the weight room. The weight room was a huge deal for me.
Yeah. You didn't mind. You didn't mind the weight room. You kind of liked it.
No, I had a tab at Sonny's Bar, Gin and Mills.
Yeah.
Go there every day, 3 times a day, and eat anything you want, from my parents.
All your protein.
Just eat. Go breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So no, the weight room. Organization, is probably the biggest difference in every level you take. Every step that you take up, I would say organization and the practice plan just gets better every single level that you go up, and the time that is invested into it, because every level's more. There's more money involved in every level. There's you want to say better coaching, but not necessarily. But there's just more time invested. more effort invested into the player, more money invested into the player, which,
absolutely, you're on scholarship.
You're on scholarship, and that's what you're there to do. So,
and you got two things. You got to go to class, you got to go to practice. And then from there, everything else will fall into shape.
Everything else will fall into shape with the program.
Yeah, and actually, we're going to talk about something in just a minute. You mentioned organization. I know the conversation with several we've had on the phone, and we're going to talk about an organizational thing that's a little different. That is one of the things that I see is one of the biggest separators of good to great.
Yes.
At all levels. At all levels. Organization. Having a practice plan. You mentioned a practice plan. If there's not a plan up, you don't know what to do. And then you have these long, drawn-out meetings in between stations, and now we're wasting time. We're not getting around. Holy smokes.
Can't get your mind right.
Can't get your mind right. And like you said, there's a whole lot less. In high school, you have to have some defensive stuff because you're playing with guys of high skill and low skill, just trying to put a team out there. So you're doing PFPs over and over again, team 1, team 2, and you get 10 swings, and you have to go home.
Yeah. You just don't have time.
In college, by week 2, you get blisters.
You got blisters.
You got them on your feet and you got them on your hands because we're swinging, buddy. We're getting flipping after it. And from junior college to then, I'm not even going to say Florida State. I'm going to say high elite Division I. That's run like a Swiss train schedule, right?
Yes.
He was pretty good at that, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, Coach Martin was very good at that. I mean, our practices were down to the T, and we covered everything. We didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
And we did it until we were blue in the face. If we, had a double cut relay that showed up in a game, and we did it wrong, where you have your shortstop and your second baseman going out double cutting. I mean, we had that down to exacts, and we didn't stop until we had it down to an exact science. And it was everything game wise. Everything that we did there was game wise. So when you got in the game and it happened, you weren't even thinking about it.
So this is called simulations.
Yes.
When you're talking about this from a coach's perspective, when you're making a game plan, you've got 4 phases. You've got series work, you've got sequence work, simulations, and situations. So in the simulations, if you got a double cut, corner double cut, or double in the gap, or whatever, you got a double cut situation that in a game that failed or did not do what it was supposed to do, we're going to mark that.
Period.
And we're going to simulate that until we have it, until we can't mess it up again.
You can't mess it up again.
Check that box.
You're not going to come in the dugout and he's going to gnaw on you and you did this wrong and this is how you do it. Next thing you know, we're in the dugout in the middle of the game.
That's not happening.
No, you let players play the game.
And then you go fix it.
And then you fix it in practice. Right. And then you fix it to the point where when it happens again, you don't have a choice but to do it.
It's completely instinctual.
Yes.
You don't think about anything. Yeah. It's, that was what we just worked on. I'd forgotten.
Yes, it didn't matter if it was all practice. It did not matter. You were going to do it right.
Well, there's one thing that everybody through the 70s, 80s, 90s, and into the 2000s will say the same about Coach Martin is his teams were fundamentally sound.
Yes.
At all, and it doesn't matter. 1978 to 2000, whatever, when he coached, you were fundamentally sound. And his approach was, he's not going to get on you. He's just going to make a note, and then we're going to work on that until it's just not a problem anymore.
That's it. And that was the big thing. I mean, that was the big thing at Florida State. That was when I learned, coming from TCC, you had some of that, you worked on it, this, that, and the other. But when we got there, yes, I mean, it was worked on until it was done right. The organization was incredible. You worked on every single aspect of the game. Right. You did not miss with one single aspect, and it was hammered every single day.
Right.
And you really, really, really learned how to play the game of baseball. I really learned how, especially defensively. Especially defensively. There was things that I learned there that I just never, even looked at the game that way.
Right, and as we go through this, when those thoughts coming up, share them. Because this is player development. Peel back the curtain and give them the good stuff. Give them the nuggets. So if there's some defensive little tip, trick, or whatever, we'll get the tips and tricks in a little bit. Absolutely lay that on us. It's interesting you say that high school has kind of a purpose, to field a team. Not everybody's going to college. Some will, some won't. But junior college has a purpose, has a dual purpose. Yes, everybody wants to go to Grand Junction, but that's a springboard. You're trying to get guys the play. When you get to FSU, when you get to Miami, when you get to Florida, Clemson, Vanderbilt, USC, there is one goal in mind:
College World Series.
Omaha.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
You're going to get drafted anyway,
Right.
or you're not.
Or you're not.
So that expectation shrinks. So the focus then becomes very micro, like what you're talking about right there. We're going to get this done where it's knocked out.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole goal, College World Series. That's all. If you ask Mike Martin today, if you would call him on the phone right now, you know, that's all he thinks about.
Right.
And that was all we thought about. You know, I mean, you wanted to get there, and once you got there, you wanted to get back. It's a beautiful place.
Well, we're going to talk about that because that's
beautiful place, man.
You set foot in Mecca. You set foot in there in that unbelievable All-American year. So when you get there to Florida State, and we're going to dive into it right now. We're going to not delay this anymore.
You know, one thing about the organization. You know, when you say organization. And you'll see it in kids as they get older. When you get in high school, you know, the organization is just, I don't know, you got IMG. I mean, that's a different, you take just a standard, you know, Florida High, North Florida Christian, then you take a TCC. The organization gets better as you go up. And you'll start to see it in kids. You know, you go out and look at some of these high school kids playing travel ball, and you go up to a tournament and you watch a kid play. And as they move up, you know, and they get to that better organization, you know, the main thing that I learned with the organization to go back on, organization leads to consistency. Mm-hmm. Period. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. Consistency, when I was at TCC or when I was at Florida State, you know, you had your J.D. Drew and you had your Jeremy Morris, but other, you know, maybe your Randy Choate or somebody like that. But all the other players were at TCC, they were all just as good as the other ones. Yes. You know, but the difference is consistency. And that's led to by organization. And you can see the kids that didn't have it. The kids that were not organized, that didn't get class on time, that had on 2 different color socks or forgot their belt one. You could see that difference in, you know, the kid and their development as they went on, you know? 100%. Yeah. And as you see that, I'm looking through a different lens as a coach. Not only do I see it, but I see more of that. I'm watching because that filters over to play. Yes. That filters over to at bats. Yes. That filters over to, I'm watching the guy, what are they doing in the hole? Yes. Why are you sitting here fumbling in the bat rack? And some kids grab it and some kids don't. And you can see the ones, you know, you can physically see, you know, you can see the ones that get it. And you can see them just get it exponentially better by the day. Yeah, it's just a little bit of attention to detail. It's not much. It's just the attention to detail. And I can't remember, but every year in junior college, all programs have this, but in junior college especially, you have invited walk-ons and preferred walk-ons because there's only so much money that you have to have it that way. And I've said this on the podcast several times. You'll have 5 guys. 2 you know will be gone. Right. Bad social decision or grades or whatever. We're not dealing with that. You got to leave. Another couple of guys, it's just not a good fit. They're good guys, but they're not in the right place. And then one guy will just disappear. Poof. Right. Usually within that, you can see those are the guys that aren't quite fitting in. Right. They're not ready for that yet. They haven't. Mommy was packing their bag for them. Right. But you see always one gets it. Oh. There was one at TCC of David Geis. David Geis. And then there was one at Florida State, you know, Terry Henderson. Yeah. You know, I mean, he was unbelievable. Yeah. He contributed a lot. David Geis, I mean. David Geis took over shortstop. I mean, he took over. I mean, he was one of the best players on the team, you know. He was one of the best athletes. Pure athlete we'd ever have. Could dunk a 5'9", 5'10", could dunk a basketball backwards. Yeah. Watching him spike a volleyball, messing around, that was just silly. You know? And his sons are elite athletes. I've talked to David probably 2 or 3 times a month, but and what a pleasure. Wasn't he cool? What a great dude, man. Yeah, but he absolutely got it. He ran at a different pace. Let's go. We're getting after this. And of course, we're hey, fungos are going, BP's rolling, let's get it on. So he fit right in with us. Yeah. You go to some baseball fields even to this day and you'll see it. You'll have a fungo next to the cage, a fungo on this side of the cage, batting packs will be rolling, outfielders will be shagging fly balls. You know, this is happening, runners are running bases. Now remember, I hadn't been there in 20, 25 years, but I go to some travel ball baseball tournaments and I watch the warm-ups and stuff. I don't see that. I don't know how to do it different. Right. To be honest, I can't do different. And it's kind of interesting you say that. We're going to talk about this later. We'll talk about this right now.
we were just setting all this stuff up, and I was talking to you, and I was driving over here, and I'm certainly excited to talk to you because I haven't seen your stats in years, and it's like, oh man, but I was at a field yesterday. Actually yesterday, talking with a kid who was trying to go on, and then we're finishing our conversation. I see over on this field where one of those travel ball things starting. Now, these are high school kids.
Right.
These aren't little ones.
And
These are
it's
high
not
school
college.
kids.
I mean, I get it. These travel ball tournaments are not college.
No, they're not. I get it. And I don't know what level it is. Maybe it's a little more of a recreational one. But here's what I noticed. I wrote this down, dude. I wrote this down. I started out angry, and then I just became disappointed. I just got deflated. Here's what happened, okay? Let me find it here. Okay, so it was obvious it started at 6 o'clock.
Right.
That was pretty obvious. So at 6 o'clock, there were 4 coaches all leaning on fungos around home plate as kids were just milling in. Pretty much everybody got there between, 6 and about 6:10, right in there. 4 coaches leaning on a fungo, all right? Now, 6:16, they went to SSNs. They didn't do SSN. They just went to stretch.
Right.
They weren't doing stabilization and mobility. They just went to go stretch at 16 minutes after. Stretching took 11 minutes. It was terrible. Terrible. It was 4 coaches all leaning on funnels. Okay? Then they go to throw and catch, which took 14 minutes, and balls were flying everywhere. They were 4 coaches leaning on 5.
Yeah.
Okay. Then finally, that's over now. Then the coaches come up. There was 9 minutes of discussion, and then they go into their first activity, which was IO, infield, outfield, 1 fungo, 1 ball. If you add all those numbers up, started 16 minutes late, took 11 minutes to stretch, 14 minutes throw and catch, 9-minute talk. It was 50 minutes to throw and catch and stretch before they got into 1 fungo, 1 ball, IO. In 50 minutes from the time practice started, right?
Yeah.
Practice was starting at 2 o'clock at TCC. At 50 minutes, we're halfway done with BP, dude.
Yeah.
We've got all that done.
Yeah.
Our practices,
with double fungos
going.
When you get done with BP, you're running the bases,
Right.
in the outfield. Yeah.
You've already taken 40, 50, 60 swings by then. Your arms are already loose. You've done stabilization. You've done mobility with Frank the trainer. You've already come with me and Jeff Hogan an hour early to hit an early BP. And probably staying 30 minutes for late BP as well. I was just like deflated. It was like, I couldn't do it. I can't do that. I'm excited to get on a baseball field.
Right. You got to be.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Hitting a fungo, and here's the other thing I noticed. You ready? Nobody was laughing. Nobody was smiling. Nobody was laughing. They were all just kind of moving.
Wasting an hour and a half.
It was just, it was crazy.
Yeah.
FSU, when you go there, the pace is high. Is it fun? Is everybody having fun?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're working.
You're working.
You're working together. You're having fun. You're working towards one common goal. Everybody's having a good time. They want you to get better.
Exactly. And it's fun, and people are joking and laughing, and you got music playing sometimes and all this.
Yeah.
It's fun when you're in pace, when you're doing stuff.
Yeah.
When it's dragging like that. Now the coaches
you gotta be doing something. Baseball is a boring sport. It can be. You know what I mean? It's a very boring sport. And when you get to those practices, you're just sitting around. And you're sitting around and you're doing nothing. When you get those guys that have that organization and you're moving here and you're moving here, and it can take your mind off the numbness of just standing around in the middle of a baseball field doing nothing. And you're working on something and you're getting better. Yeah, I mean, that's how you getting the consistency. Getting the reps. I've said this 1,000 times over. In baseball, talent is always going to win.
Yes.
You either have that fluidity, you have that motion, you have that the movement about you.
The athleticism.
That's kind of born into most baseball players. They have that.
God has to give you something.
The difference is the consistency, and with organization, you get that. If you're standing around for an hour and 15 minutes, think of the reps. All it takes for the kids that have talent, or the kids that have the will, or the go get them, and maybe even a little bit of talent.
Yeah.
The reps is what's going to get them
to
where they need to be, and you have to have those. And when you waste an hour and 15 minutes, now they're bored.
Yeah.
Now their minds already went somewhere else. You can't get them back.
Right.
They're dragging for the rest of the day. Once you get them started right off Chip Baker used to stand at the top of the dugout And I mean, we would middle around, and everybody's there 15 minutes early, and we're all putting our cleats on, sitting in the dugout, and he's chit-chatting, laughing, having a good time, and he always had a phone gun in his hand. Never went anywhere without a phone gun.
Right. Now, Chip Baker is the keystone of Florida State University. He was there through almost his entire tenure, Mike Martin's, and he's the heartbeat. He's the soul.
Legend.
Just retired. He's a legend. That's big shooter. Big shooter.
And he would stand on top of that dugout, and he would shoot bull with all of us, and we'd all have a good time, and everybody's laughing and giggling. And whatever time practice started, I mean, whether it was 2 o'clock, 2:15, 3:15, whatever time it was, he would stand at the top of that dugout, and I mean, as soon as that second hand hit 2:15, he would take that bat and go boop, boop, and he would bounce it on because it was AstroTurf over concrete.
Right.
Boop, boop, here we go.
Yeah.
And he would turn around and he would start running to his station, and all the coaches would be at stations, and everybody knew where we went, and it just went in a circle.
Yeah.
Went in a circle and even getting hit by pitches. We had a station where you stood there and you got hit by pitches. The right way.
Right. Not turning into it, turning away from it, taking it correctly.
You had to stand there and wear about 15 pitches every single day.
Right. Then they're not killing you.
No.
You're being taught how to take it. It's like you teach a skateboarder, right? The skateboarders learn how to fall correctly so they don't get hurt. Right. You have to learn how to get hit by a pitch correctly so you don't get hurt.
Yeah. And it's reps. It's reps. How many times you get in the box and you see that ball coming at you, your eyes get big. And there's just a right way to do it. And you just do it where when it comes at you, it's just boom.
Mm-hmm.
It's boom.
And just take it off the body armor, take it off the back of the back. Or Jose Zavala could get hit by a baseball across the traffic.
Anyway.
He was a master at it.
He loved it.
It's amazing. Some coaches, we don't trash anybody on this thing, but I see this a lot.
Yeah.
And see, when I'm coaching, when Jeff is coaching, when Mac is coaching at TCC, we're doing this as the fungos are moving.
Yes.
We don't stop. If I need to pull you aside, come here. And I'll pull you aside, open your mitt earlier, get back in there. So you're not stopping anything. It's humming. Do it again. Do it again. Do it the way I told you. Do it again. Do it the way I told you.
And that's the way it works, the reps.
Yep.
And you get those with organization, not wasting time.
Right.
And doing the reps right.
Right.
Which lead to consistency.
I mean, I kind of, that seems to be a theme, right?
Bottom line.
That's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line. And anything that has to do with the game of baseball, that's it.
Exactly right. Well, dude, that's great information for the folks that are watching this. But I want to dive into it now. I want to take this apart now. Okay. 1997, you go in. Now, you come from us over there again. Good, 264. It's okay.
Appreciate that.
It's okay. But then you go to hit almost 400. Okay. What happened in that first year? Were you platooning? Did you have guys in front of you?
I wasn't right at the start. I had the starting right field job. I think my eyes got maybe too big. You're born and raised in Tallahassee. You get to Florida State. The practices and everything were fine.
You're wearing the uni.
You're wearing the uniforms and all that, and everything's fine. The practices were fine, but then when you get to the games and the people start showing up and all the stuff's going on around you, and the fans are yelling, and you come up with 2 outs and the 6th inning and you're down 2 runs and the bases are loaded. It's a different, and I think. Sometimes I got caught maybe trying to do too much. Mm-hmm. Like I said, you're seeing guys like J.D. Drew and Jeremy Morris every time they came up in that situation, and the fans were hollering. And boy, they just went up there like it was just their 9-to-5 job. And
it's Friday.
Doubling this Friday, and doubling the gap, run, score, fans are cheering. Well, I want some of that.
Right.
I want that to happen for me. So, I think I got maybe caught up in a little bit too much of that. Got a little bit out of place. Got a little bit uncomfortable. Then you get unsure.
Yeah.
You get unsure about your place. You get moved from 5 in the batting order. I started out the season like 5 in the batting order, 6. Hit 2 those 2 home runs were my first 2 games.
Okay.
And then you maybe get caught up in a little of that, and then the next thing you know, you slide from 5 to 7, and then you slide from 5 to 8. Next thing you know, they give another guy a try, and before you know it, you're just not sure. You're not sure about yourself and really what you're doing. And I just think it snowballed a little bit. Just being uncomfortable, out of place.
It's a big environment.
It's a big environment.
Everybody in the stands looks down
Yeah.
and says, that's cool. But when you're there looking up, you have no idea.
They have no idea.
It is actually a palpable feeling
Yes.
of pressure, a chest stress pressure.
Yes.
And they've done renovations, but still, that's 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people when you're playing the Gators and you're playing Miami. And Fridays, look, baseball in Tallahassee on Fridays, they're there.
Great place to be.
Great place to be, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure. Junior college, you're not going to get. You'll get a couple hundred fans, but they're mostly scouts.
And parents.
Yeah, scouts and parents and some cross checkers, but they're supposed to be. That's their job, But you go to a program like that, and again, pick whatever program you want to talk. Vanderbilt, USC, whatever. It is a very you don't know till you know.
It takes some getting used to. I told somebody 6 months ago, I don't understand the kids that go straight out of high school and go straight to a Florida State, Mississippi State, Florida, and start. Right. That's unimaginable to me.
Right.
There was no way. There was absolutely no way I was ready for that. The path that I took to junior college was perfect, and I completely take my hat off to the Brooks Bedeau's of the world, or the Brett Groves. I'm just naming some guys that I played with that came in freshmen and started. Yeah. I don't see how kids do that with the atmosphere and everything that's going on and the pressure, and it's just it was tough for me to get used to, and then. As you it takes getting used to. And then once you start to gain a little bit of success, once you start to, get going a little bit, you don't even notice it. You don't notice it's there. You're concentrating on what you're doing. You learn to just live with it. You don't hear it anymore. It takes getting comfortable in that environment. And I wasn't. My first year, I was not.
Right, and it's hard because coaches have to counsel players to a little bit, but you can't, to be honest, you can't coach that.
No.
You just got to go play and get used to it. You got to figure it out.
You got to do it every day.
Most guys get through it most of the time, and they get back to the basics and they get going. Some guys don't like it, they can't handle it, and they weed themselves out.
You're up at the plate and there's 2 outs and 2 strikes, bottom of the 6th, bases are loaded, you're losing to Florida, 3-2, and
you hear your name
and Brian Cox is coming up to the plate, and these people are, there's 4,000 people stomping on the ground, the animals, you got, what's his name, the animals out there.
You got a $5 million jumbotron with your picture on it?
Yeah, and you're hearing all that, and you next thing you know, you're gripping the bat a little tighter. Next thing you know, man, that sure would be nice if that ball went over that left field scoreboard. Imagine how loud they would yell. So we just step out just a little bit, We forget to we forget to drop the ball right center. Look fastball, just curve. Yeah, and it throws you off just that little bit. And in baseball, that knee jerk muscle reaction.
That's the difference.
That's the difference. That's your 264.
Yeah, that's your 264. Okay,
that's where it comes from. But you didn't linger. No. Did you play summer ball? No.
You didn't play summer ball. You took the summer off.
I went to the gym. I ate. I went back to Jim Mills. Did
this make you mad?
Yeah.
You didn't like that, the taste in your mouth after that?
I didn't like that.
Because you get really well with us. You were a 2 to 3 guy for us because you handle the bat so well.
I held the record for RBIs at 100, in the state of Florida in junior college. I held that record for one whopping year until, what was his name? Not Millicent, but it was his cousin.
Not Fuentes.
No. He was a right fielder. Newberger. I think I set the record at 55 RBIs at 165 pounds soaking wet.
Right. You were a little. No, you're not a little guy. You're wired. You're wired.
173, I think, when I left you.
Right. Yeah, but Newberger was 6'3", 6'4", 220, run, throw. Yeah, had some juice.
I think the record.
Cool, neat guy.
I think it was 55 RBIs, and in 1 year it went from 55 to 80.
Yeah.
So I'd always hit pretty well in high school. Senior year, you hit 500, 480. Junior, I don't know, 360. something like that. And then in junior college, I think my first year I was 315. Second year, 355, 360, whatever it was. I don't remember the exact number. Y'all don't quote me on this. But anyways, I mean, it was always fine. And then that was a big dud. Right. And I didn't go off. I didn't go play summer ball. Matter of fact, I never played summer ball at any time. Not summer ball, I got high school. Once I hit college, I never played summer ball. I went to school. And I stayed around, went to gym meals, 3 meals a day.
Right.
And I went to the gym.
Right.
Every day.
So you decided, okay, and it wasn't a financial thing. You could have done that. Not a big deal. Go play summer ball. No problem. So you said, no, I'm going to stay home. I'm going to lift. I'm going to get bigger, faster, stronger. I don't need more reps.
That was what I needed.
I need more strength.
Yeah. I could kind of find on an average basis, I could find the barrel of the bat with the ball. I could pick a ball up and throw it. You know what I mean?
I will say that you do have an innate ability. Your swing, and I'm interrupting you, and I'm sorry, but your swing, and you have to quantify this a little bit. Your swing is extremely dynamic. Yeah. Very dynamic. You can take the bat and create so many different shapes, swing shapes, to get the barrel to the ball. And now, do we work on technique? Sure. But I don't work on technique, and Jeff doesn't work on technique with you that takes away your ability to take 2 quarters, because that's about the size of the sweet spot, and a dime for the baseball, put 2 quarters on the dime, because you'll hit a ball with your hands like this, and then you'll stretch your swings, taking a slider away when you get fooled or whatever, but you had such a great gift to change your swing shape to connect barrel with ball. So I would have to say, yeah, man, I mean, you just had that.
I didn't strike out a lot, so, going and getting those reps and, doing all it, just, I could get my school in. I get done with that.
You're pretty good school. You did fine school. You're all right.
I'm decent, and I'm, eating right.
Yeah.
Sleeping right and working out, working out every day.
Well, and you don't put on a great deal of weight, but you're the wiry guy that the other guy doesn't want to get punched.
Right.
You're that guy that...
I was relatively strong, though.
When you and Freya would wrestle,
and
those other guys, you knew. When Brian grabs a hold of you, you're grabbed a hold of him.
Even in the in the minor leagues, a lot of those guys, they never worked out. They didn't know what working out was. And then I had been at Florida State for 2 years.
Yeah.
In TCC for a couple of years. And I'd been at that for 4 years. I mean, you'd go do a leg press, and you got this guy next to you, 6'4", 240 pitcher, and we're both doing a leg press, and I'm doing more than him.
Right.
And you can't fathom that. It's just he's never done it.
Right. He had so much talent, he just kind of watched his way through, whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever his situation was at the time, but I needed.
Yeah.
That's what I needed instead of rest. I needed food, I needed weight, and I needed.
So didn't like what you hit 97. I am not going to summer ball. I'm going to lift, get better, and then I'm going to come back. Now, you're back. You're in the fall. Yeah. Your mindset has to be different now.
Yes.
Your focus has to be different. Your goals have to be different. Something has to be different to put on over 100 points, almost 140 points.
Yeah.
What changed? What changed in Brian Cox?
My mindset, I'd already been through a year.
Yep.
Where it was rough. It was rough on my standards.
Yep.
I'd already been through that year. How could it get any worse?
Right.
You know what I mean? How could it get any worse than what? Even though that might be okay to some people, average, or maybe a little lower than average, but that might be okay.
Yeah, top 5 program in the country to hit 264. Yeah, that's not too bad for most people.
Not too bad.
Brian didn't like that.
I didn't like that.
So what do you do different?
One of my biggest things was, I just let all that other stuff go. It couldn't get any worse. I got all that out of my mind, and I went back to kind of doing what I knew to do. I would say the biggest thing for me hitting wise that went from 264 to 393 is my batting. Remember I was telling you about J.D. Drew, Jeremy Morris, batting practice. Those guys are, God, man, you should see some of that stuff. And I was trying to mimic that, and I got out of what
Brian does.
Look, man, I can't do what J.D. Drew does. I can't hit it at a circus tent. When you try, you're going to become a 900 batting practice hitter, and you're going to become a 264 game hitter. So I got out of that, and I'll tell you probably the main thing that made the biggest difference is those guys were gone. I didn't have to see that anymore.
You weren't in the hitting group anymore.
See, I didn't have to hit it.
Yeah, dude, right.
Yeah, that was 3, 4, 5. You know what I mean? I didn't have to hit in their same group anymore. My batting practice got really boring.
Yeah.
And as soon as my batting practice became really boring, I became a better hitter. And what I mean by that is in the batting practice, working on the things that you're supposed to be working on. I literally took every ball, no matter where it was, and I hit it back up the middle or into right center. If it was inside, if it was on the inside corner, I still tried to hit it back at chain shoot.
Okay, so what you're doing is you're going back to the basics.
Back to the basics. Everything, it didn't matter where it was thrown, I tried to hit it from, the L
Short right
into right center.
Right.
Boring.
Because that's where they pitch.
Line drive over second baseman's head. If I did that 15 times, I was on.
Right.
And I knew they were in trouble.
So you stop comparing yourself to other players.
I stopped being a 900 batting practice.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you started working on batting practice for the purpose of improving your game.
Yeah.
Now, it is fun to go into batting practice
hard to do.
from the heel. No, it is hard to do because it's boring. It's also not cool because you don't have 1,000 people watching batting practice.
Yeah, Friday afternoon, they're there. They're sitting up in the stands watching everything. And for me to come up there and hit, 2 ground balls to second base, that was fine for me.
Yeah.
As long as it was hit right. You know what I mean? As long as it was hit square on the nose, ground ball to second base was great.
Intentionally. Purposefully.
Back at the L screen, line drive over to second baseman's head. Just, that was it. And then in the game, it takes over. And it's hard to get, and it's hard for me. Hell, it took me 20 years to figure it out. You know what I mean? It's a tough thing to do.
Yeah.
To take it from batting practice to a game. It's a hard thing to do. And you ruin yourself in batting practice. And what people don't realize is when you get in the game, those quick muscle reactions are going to take over. In that pitch on the inside corner,
right?
Or the pitch down the middle, or middle end.
Right.
You're going to get to that. You know what I mean? And if it's off speed, you're going to pull it.
Because you've been working on that in batting practice purposefully. Because you're going to see it in 40 minutes.
Let the ball travel. Let it get back in over the plate. Hands in front of the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah, ball through contact. All the stuff that we work on. UO.
Just boom.
Yeah.
Barrel on the baseball. And then in the game, it just takes over.
Right.
Those quick muscle reactions will just take over. You'll hit it where it's pitched. Guy messes up and throws you a curveball. I mean, you're going to yank it.
Yeah.
If you sit right there, boom, hands, boom, you're going to yank that thing over the score. That, to me, was probably the biggest difference. My batting practice got boring, and it became
intentional.
Had a purpose.
Had a purpose.
Yeah.
Intentional. You're working on performance related.
I was a 400 or 500 hitter that year in batting practice, and that 264 here, I was 900 hitter.
Right. So you're 97 when you get 264. You're winning batting practice.
Winning.
But you ain't winning the game.
No.
You're keeping up with Morris and Jacob Drew.
And you got to figure that out.
Yeah.
You got to figure that out. And that was probably the biggest thing that happened for me.
Let's talk about this because I know this is something too, and I don't want to leave this out. We're going to talk about awareness leading to approach. Purpose, intentional batting practice with the intent to perform in a game. So you're working, simulating that off-speed pitch, that outside pitch, that inside pitch, going back to those pitch sequences, all that stuff. Now, and the reason we're going to this, because you and I have talked about this, is I'm going to call this a pet peeve.
Right.
As an undersized guy, you want as much advantage as you can gather.
Yes.
Okay? So, watching the pitcher, picking sequences, maybe not knowing what's coming, what's not coming, what I can not worry about, building your approach. How was your hitting approach when you were a 260 hitter versus your hitting approach when you're a 393?
A big difference. When things are going good, it's easy to sit back and think and not worry. And you're a 264 hitter. I mean, you get your chance, and things are happening so fast, and I mean, before you know it, you get up to the plate and boom, 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 boom. You're
Crap.
right on out. You don't even know what you were thinking.
Right.
It was a very big difference. I was never really a rah-rah guy. I was one to pay a lot of attention. Trying to pick up pitchers' pitches, any kind of sequence they would give me, glove. And all these kids these days know this. I don't know how much they look at picking it up.
Well, and you know what? Okay.
But are the hitters picking it up? I don't know.
We got to kind of clarify this. We're not in the book. I call it cheats.
Yeah.
Using your cheats. We're not talking about cheating.
No.
That is in no way, shape,
in
or form
between the lines, it's all fair.
In between the lines, player to player, if you're here's an example. So in Eddie Perez, Eddie, he's a commentator.
Yeah.
He would tell a story about Randy Johnson.
Yeah.
He wore Randy Johnson out.
Yeah.
Nobody wore Randy Johnson out.
Right.
Nobody. I mean, he was throws 100 from the left side.
Right.
And he was saying when Randy would go to his fastball, he'd fan his mitt just a little bit, just a little fan.
Yeah.
And he said, I knew it, and I didn't tell nobody.
No.
Because that's going to keep him in the big leagues.
That's right.
Well, he told Randy Johnson that like 5 years ago, and Randy got mad.
Yeah.
Apparently, he goes, no, you would fan your mitt. I knew a fastball was coming.
Yeah.
And if I know it's coming, I got a pretty good chance.
I was real big on that. I needed every advantage I could get.
Yeah.
That's that. And another thing, everything's involved in 393.
Yeah.
Every advantage I can get. The gym, the weight room, working out. That's a big deal. Any pitches I can get, any sequences, I was constantly paying attention to what was going on in the game. A lot of guys talking, a lot of guys doing this. You had your rah-rah guys, you had this. A lot of people looked at me and thought maybe I wasn't into it, or, Brian, he doesn't have to try that hard, or, he just doesn't even, he doesn't even care, and he's, hitting 393. That was not it. I was always paying attention. I was always.
You were trying to find out a tip, a tell, something, a sequence, something he's doing.
Anything.
Something
and I picked it up more than not.
Yeah.
I picked it up more. I went to a travel baseball game 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And within the first 10 pitches, I knew every single pitch that kid on the other team was throwing.
Because the pitcher was tipping his pitches.
Yeah. He was tipping his pitches, and he had in between his fingers and his glove. He had gaps. He had little small gaps.
Stretched out glove.
Yeah, he had a stretched out glove, and he had little small gaps. Not the netting.
Right.
That was called fingers. He had little small gaps in his fingers, and he would put it in, and he would always start with a changeup. If he didn't move it,
so if he went right to grip, it's a changeup.
If he went right to grip, it was If he went right to grip, it was a changeup. You could see the movement. All it was boom.
Yeah.
But if it was a curveball, he had to roll it.
Okay.
Boom. And you had everyone on 10 pitches.
When was the last time you were at a baseball game?
Long time.
Prior to that.
Long time.
And then you walk up, when your son, nephew or something.
It was a nephew.
Okay.
Nephew.
So you just walk up to the baseball game, and instinctually Brian Cox kicks in and goes, I got him.
Pay attention.
I got him. You want to know the pitches? I got him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Did they pick up on that?
No.
Were they trying? Did they want to?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know if it was, travel ball, summer tournament. I don't know if it's something that's maybe frowned upon, or if they're working that hard at it. Maybe high school baseball. That's something. Junior college baseball. But if you're giving to me, and I got scouts standing back there, there was about 8 of them.
Yeah.
Standing there watching that game.
Yeah.
And if I got scouts standing there watching me watch that game, I may not tell anybody else, but I'm taking it.
You dadgum right.
I'm taking it.
Because your life expectancy in this game is very short.
And I would say half my time on the baseball field was into that kind of stuff.
So you're trying to find something.
Always.
Whether it's something you can leave out, like I know he is not going to change up here. Or maybe you're gearing up for that 0-2 fastball and maybe open your toe a little bit, have a little cheats like that, stuff like that.
Anything. There's times where you watch sequences on certain hitters, and you can put yourself into a category of a certain hitter. And then, then it happens to you.
Right.
Then all of a sudden it happens to you, and then you look back, and then the next time, the same sequence starts coming through. Maybe it doesn't happen the same sequence again, but 2 out of 3 of those hitters that you watched, that sequence did fall into place again. You saw him do it again.
Right.
Now, when I come up, if that sequence comes up, this is what I'm going to do.
Right.
Now, he may not do that, but that's what I'm looking for, and if I don't get it, I have to let it go.
That's an approach.
That's an approach.
Right.
That's an approach.
If you don't have an approach, now we're talking about, well, at any level, but certainly in the higher levels, if you don't have approach, you're just an out waiting to be recorded.
Pretty much.
Because those guys do it for a living too.
Yes. And they fall into,
oh man.
Everybody has things that make them feel good, or they do it a certain way, or they have superstitions, or they've just done it a certain way for so long.
Or they love their changeup. I fall in love with it.
They love it. I mean, every time they get 2-1, man, here that thing comes on the outside corner. Well, that's fine. Mm-hmm. If I know it's coming on the outside corner, I can hit it.
Yeah.
You know, the problem is when I'm looking for a fastball, and you threw the last one down, you threw the last one knee high on the inside corner, and then you throw to the outside changeup. Yeah. But if I know beyond a shadow of doubt that I'm looking for an outside changeup, man, I can hit that.
Because you've just been working on it intentionally and purposely.
I've watched you do it 3 times. I've watched you do it 3 times.
Watch him do it 3. It's time now.
It's time now. And if I don't get it, I have to take it. Now I'm at 2-2. Now I'm back to.
Now you're working your count.
Look fastball, just
The count is such an advantage that hitters don't learn how to use until they get to college. And it's hard to teach a young kid. It's a higher level kind of thing because you're just hunting fastballs and you never want to hit with 2 strikes but when you get to college, you're hitting with 2 strikes a lot.
Choke up, put it in play. Right. I'm not a big fan of that.
No.
You know what I mean?
I don't like moving the bat.
Once you get to a certain point, you get 3 shots at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get 3 shots at it. And if you're at that level, you're going to strike out. Mm-hmm. But if you're at that level with 3 shots, you ought to be able to put a ball in play with some aggression. You know what I mean? Those guys aren't making errors. They're not dropping pop-ups. They're not maybe once a game. You know what I mean? It's not put the ball in play anymore. It's put the ball in play with some aggression.
Yes.
Right. And if you're paying attention, you're going to do that more often.
Right.
And like I said, 50% of my time wasn't talking. It wasn't, come on, Johnny, you can do it. It wasn't, I was just never that guy. I was never one of that. I was always, quietly looking around, paying attention, picking up little tidbits here and there, anything I could get.
Well, and it paid off. 18 bombs.
Yeah. 18 bombs. Well, those bats.
They're pretty juicy in the 90s. They were juicy in the 90s.
Those slower TP just had them walls about that.
Yeah. It was pretty juicy. But the thing that's cool with me, and you are an RBI guy, and not all guys are that guy. Right. You have to find the guy in the lineup who has got a little of the makeup of that. Yeah. Okay, but 87 RBIs in a 60-game season is pretty good. Yeah. And with all of this, you guys went to Omaha.
Yes.
What was that like?
It's unbelievable. Yeah, I tell people to this day, like if you want to go, if your kid plays baseball, or if your kid has a dream of playing baseball, even if they don't, if you want to go on a family vacation, take your wife and 2 kids and go to the College World Series. It is just a festive, happy, people are cheering on their teams. You get your LSU fans, your Mississippi State fans, they're grilling out. Teams are showing up on the buses. The bat, the ball pings off that bat out there in Nebraska. It sounds different. Yeah. It's just the atmosphere is awesome.
There's 25,000 people there.
The stadium's beautiful. The skies are beautiful. You got that nice, pretty thick green grass.
They've been growing it all year for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's everything about it is fabulous. And that, I would honestly say, I have a hard time. Maybe another reason I pay so much attention to the baseball game. I, to this day, have a hard time. I can't sit on the couch and watch baseball game. Within half an inning, I'm on to something else. Yeah. I just can't do it. And so that's maybe where my mind picked up on all that other stuff. It was giving me something to concentrate on and something to do and pay attention to. I'd lose focus. You know what I mean? I had to have something to grab a hold of. Rosenblatt is the one place that I can go to and sit and watch baseball game.
Really?
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
I suggest it to anybody.
Just go.
And the kids that are looking to, I suggest make that your dream. And if you're a parent and you're preaching to your kid, and they're wanting to play baseball, do anything you can, to put Rosenblatt in their mind and show them highlights of it and show them, all the things and take them. Go out. Once you take them, they're hooked.
Right.
once you take them there home.
Right.
You know?
No, and it's and I've never been there as a player, and I've never been there as a coach. But with guys like you and guys that I've coached, and they've gone and stuff, and it's always that same kind of thing. It's like I can explain it, but
you got to go.
You got to go.
You got to go. The Nebraska people are awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, they're there. Steaks are fabulous.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Got good meat. But the people are awesome. Everybody's in a festive mood. Everybody's cheering. A lot of the fans show up. I mean,
no, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. I mean, you go and you got a couple 2,500, 2,000, 2,500 Florida State fans there.
Yeah.
And they're there for you.
Yeah.
You don't know them. You maybe see them in the stands.
Right. And these maybe people live in Tallahassee. They may live in California, Nebraska, or whatever. But hey, FSU's in the College World Series or Pitt's in the College World Series. I'm going.
Yeah. And the thing is, I've said twice that the next time they go, I'm going to go because my kids are at the age that I need to go. The problem is when I was there, it was a habit. When I was at Florida State, it was a habit. If you didn't go,
it was a problem.
It was a problem. And not to say, I think the competition has gotten better. The field is evened out.
Yeah.
You got your Coastal Carolinas. You got your, and I can't name them all. Your Dallas Baptists. You got a lot of. It's strong. You still get your 4, 5, or 6 Floridas, Mississippi States, LSU's, Florida State,
Stanford,
UCLA, Arizona State. You're still going to get those guys, but every year you get those 2 or 3 now.
Yeah.
Or
usually they didn't make it out of the regional. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's exactly right. And this last one, holy smokes, dude! I don't know if you watched any of that, but every game was right down to
the wire.
Right down. The only ones that actually were blowouts were the 2 championship games.
Yeah.
But every game was just Sully in Florida. Goodness gracious. Right. Those kids, man.
Those guys from LSU. The Dylan Cruz. I didn't even know who that guy was.
That tank kid.
4 months ago.
You can watch that guy. If you go back and you look at his highlights, he is thinking through that whole of that. The tank. What is it?
So I got an at bat. There's an at bat. I believe it's a Tennessee game. Was Tommy Tank?
Tommy Tank? Yeah.
I watched that game. Like I told you, I could watch. So I watched all the College World Series games.
Yeah.
Tommy the Tank, and I believe it was the Tennessee game. You could watch his approach.
Yeah.
And this is what I pick up. And the first thing I did was call my nephew. His first at bat. Strike 1, strike 2, guy hung a curveball, he missed it. Strike 1 he took, strike 2, guy hung a curveball, and it was above the belt. But when you're seeing it right, and that guy that hangs a curveball above the belt, ball or not, we're letting it happen.
Yep.
He missed it.
Yep.
The next pitch, that guy threw a 93 mile-an-hour fastball on the inside corner, down and in, and Tommy swung at it. Couldn't get to it. Mm-hmm. But he's staying closed, hands inside the baseball. He's looking to hit the ball right center, left center, right center.
Right.
Get your hands, hands in front of the barrel. Next at that, the same exact thing happened to him, but he didn't change. He committed to his approach. The next at bat, the same exact thing happened to him, and the guy struck him out on an inside corner fastball that he could not get to because he's looking middle in to away, middle away. Okay, did not change. The next at bat, he came up.
Final bat.
Just third at bat. The next at bat, that pitcher made a mistake and left the ball over the plate, and he did not change one bit. Still had 2 strikes. Boom, line drive in the left center field gap.
Yeah.
Got jammed a little bit. The ball was a little bit in. He tried to do the same thing to him.
Right.
But he messed up and left it a little bit over the plate, and now the guy's 1 for 3. Right. Did not change his approach. Did not do anything different. Did not. So I immediately said that to my nephew, and that's that's kind of how I watch a baseball game, or I pick up things at a baseball game. And you can go back and look at it. Matter of fact, I have it on my phone right now from where I sent it to my cousin. Yeah. I can show it to you when we get done.
Send it to me, and what I'll do is I'll drop it in the description in this podcast right now.
One thing.
So he's got kids, and it's hard. It depends on the age.
it gets better as you get older.
When you get older, but you also talk more philosophy and theory, cerebral when you get up there.
Yeah.
The approach is something different because the kids hang up on each at bat.
Each at bat.
No, you're learning.
Yeah.
Each at bat's a learning experience. So Tommy the Tank, and we may be pronouncing his name wrong if I sorry, but
Tommy.
we all know who it is. He's a dude.
You're a legend, dude. We're watching you.
His first at bat, nothing. Strikes out.
But he had good hats.
He's learning.
He had good hats.
Yeah.
He just missed them.
Right.
And he got struck out on that inside fastball.
Waited it out. Took 3 at bats to finally get it, and then when he got it, he didn't miss it.
He didn't miss it. He did not miss it. And it took a bad day, but he's 1 for 3.
1 for 3.
He's 1 for 3. In the next game, he's 2 for 5. And the next game, he knows he's a good hitter. He knows his approach works.
Yep.
He knows what works for him. He's looking for a fastball, middle away. You watch him and that Dylan Cruz guy. Man, those guys are driving balls into right center.
Oh, hammering it.
And really, they're not hitting a lot of fastballs from the middle end to in. They're only swinging at that pitch with 2 strikes.
Right.
They're hitting fastballs from middle away, and then they're hammering your off-speed pitches.
Right.
Because they're looking middle away a fastball. When they see the off-speed pitches, their hands are sitting right here. Boom, quiet, and all they just throw in their hands and they're freaking hammering.
Well, you know what? And that's
They're
one of those
impressive
things.
to watch. Those guys are impressive.
They
do it better than anybody I've ever seen.
Professional hitters.
Professional.
Straight up pro. And you got to look close.
I like to think I was decent, but that little P line right there don't do anything. What those guys are doing with a totally different bat and a totally different pitcher than what I was facing.
I'm going to let you discredit yourself about that much.
Right, I get
just about that much. But yes, it is different. Those guys are bigger, stronger, faster, and everybody throws 97 now.
Yes.
You saw that obviously in Omaha, but you're not going to see that as much as these guys do. But so these guys, you hear it all the time, and I linked in another podcast, David Ross, manager of the Cubs, your teammate in high school, worked with him, you worked with him. He was in a bat he was talking about, this left-handed guy for Cleveland that nobody hit. And what was cool about this interview is he was walking through his approach. Here's what I had to do today. And here's the thing that if you're paying attention, you have to understand this. You have to understand this. Yes. What David said was, if he throws me inside, I'm just out. I'm just going to be out. And when you're building your approach, there's things you're going to say, this is what I'm looking for, and if I get something else, I'm just going to be out.
I'm out. He wins.
Because you can't hit both sides when they're throwing 95%.
I think the stat that I read the other day is the average pitch. Now, you take every pitch of a college baseball player. And you take every pitch they throw. Now, sometimes they're trying to throw low and away, and they throw high and in.
Yeah.
Sometimes they throw it down there, and they throw a curveball in the dirt, and they want to bounce it.
Right.
The average pitch, I think, that they miss their spot over the course of a whole game is like 12 inches.
Yeah.
Now, that's every single pitch. That's from outside to inside. Sometimes they hit the mid.
Yeah.
But if you take all the wild pitches, all the things that go on in the course of the baseball game, and you average all of them out,
they're going to miss.
It's 12 inches. So it was 12 or 14. It was some crazy number that I never even thought of.
Right. You're thinking it's this.
It's not.
It's a lot more than that. They're going to miss.
They're going to miss. But as a right-handed batter, my biggest thing was, until I got 2 strikes, I didn't swing at anything hard on the inside corner. A fastball on the inside corner, maybe a ball. Right. I couldn't. The way my approach to hitting, I couldn't get to.
Right. Now that was different for J.D. Drew. That was different for Jeremy Morris. Yeah. They get those. They're supposed to put those into New Mexico somewhere.
Right. And they do.
Yeah. Right. But again, it lends to what you can do as a player. What your roles in the team.
I needed a fastball middle in to away. Or I needed an off-speed pitch. I could get to the off-speed pitch on the inside, but if a guy was throwing 92, the way I hit, stayed closed, made sure my front foot was closed, everything stayed true into right center. And when I tell people boring batting practice earlier, my batting practice was boring. I don't men go up there and you see people just, I'm talking about standing up there 75%, 80% in batting practice, nice and aggressively,
Clean.
staying back, clean,
Yeah.
you know, boom,
Yeah.
right center field. And that's what I was looking for as a hitter. You know, 70% of your pitches are from middle end to away, you know, and if right-handed pitcher, left-handed, they have a hard time coming. And all they have to do is miss by that far, and they get you sometimes, you know, and unless I had 2 strikes, that hard ball in, you know, inside corner to 1 ball in, I would eat it until I had 2 strikes. And if you could throw that ball at me at 92 miles an hour,
Tip your cap.
when I got 2 strikes, you're going to make me look like a fool trying to get to it. And you'll see what I'm talking about with time.
Yeah.
It's the same. His approach is kind of the exact same thing. Now, you mess up and you hang me a curveball or a changeup on that ball in, I'm going to get to it. You know what I mean? And I'm going to hammer that pitch. You know, so it was just an approach. You know, it was an approach, and like you were saying, as kids get older, they gradually get it. They gradually get it a little bit more.
Well, in good coaches, and we said in this program, we don't say bad coaches. We say there's average coaches, and then there's the great ones.
Right.
Okay, the great ones like yours, Jeff Hogan,
Yes.
and again, worked with Jeff in college when you were there.
Right.
He is putting that in early. He was talking to you. I guarantee you, he was talking to you a little bit about this stuff when you were in high school.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean,
You may or may not have been able to do it.
right. Or you may not have been picking up on what, you know, at that age, you may not have just been picking up the terminology of what we was trying to put into your.
Yeah, but he's sowing that seed.
He's sowing the seed. And then he really, when we had more time at TCC, he really started sowing. And it took a couple of years of that.
It's hard.
It's hard. I mean, it's
To commit to something like
and
that.
stick to it when it ain't working, and you're fighting, and you're not grasping the whole concept, and
Trusting it.
these situations don't happen in at bats.
Yeah.
It may take 40 at bats before one situation that arises. You know what I mean? So, and then when it arises, you got to go back to the drawing board, and boom. So it takes a long time in order to figure it out, and it's something you don't figure out in batting practice, but you have to take it from the batting practice of the game and stick with it.
We see guys, and one of the things we talk to players about is, look, you're not swinging 100%.
Right.
Stop that.
And the full
You got to work at 90%, 80%. You got to work with a controllable, purposeful. In the game, it'll go where it goes.
It'll go where it needs to go.
You ain't got to worry about that.
You ain't got to worry about it. That movement's going to make it.
We'll sit back and we'll watch them take BP. And even at these big places, and Christian school and this and the modern day, and you watch them take BP and go, that's just sloppy.
Right.
That's an unintentional. And then you see that one guy going, uh-oh.
Yeah.
What's his name again? What's that kid's name? You know?
Right.
Oh,
he just hit 10 little wing run drives over second base right there.
Right.
You know what I mean? They know what they're looking for.
Yeah, in the game, that'll have another 30 miles an hour on that.
Right.
It happens that way. But, yeah, it's critical. So you went in that 97 and 98 season. You were changed your practice approach to prepare for a game, and then you were taking all the information you could possibly gather to give you an advantage, and it paid off. You hit nearly 400.
Paid off.
I mean,
I got headed in the right direction, you know, and then once you get headed in the right direction, like the year before, started out in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
You lose a little time. Once it was headed in the right direction and you got going and you saw what you were doing working,
isn't it fun?
It becomes fun.
So
Then
much
it becomes
fun.
easy.
Oh, and it's on the website. It's on our only job. We have one job as players: make it easier.
Yep.
If you can make it easier, by doing that, you make it simpler.
Yep.
Everything we do, all the ground balls,
Yep.
all the sprints, all the running, all the BP, all that has one purpose: is to make it easier. And when you hit 390, now it's never easy.
No.
Never. Ground bat, round ball, outnumbered pitcher. But when you hit 393, you're making it easier.
It helps.
It helps.
It helps. It looks easy to a lot of people. It's not. It's not. There's a lot going on in there. You know, there's a lot going on. They're knocking it out there on the field. It's definitely not. You know, but and that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
When you see those kids, you know. I mean, they got it rolling. They're doing it right. They're sticking to a routine. They're, you know.
Oh, it's glaring when you're looking. When you've done it and you see
they're
that,
out with their heads up, their chins up. They're not looking at the ground when they make
poking
a
the chest
mistake.
out.
That's my biggest pet peeve in the game of baseball. Is never look at the ground.
Yeah, poke the chest out.
Never look at the ground.
Right.
Never.
Then nothing's happening there.
Nothing's happening. I don't care what happens. I don't care if your ball goes between your legs and you lose the game.
Right.
When you walk off that field, you walk off with your head up. Make everybody look you in the face.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You'll be a tougher man because of it.
All right, so let's Pro Bowl.
Yep.
High school, TCC, FSU, got drafted. Everybody dreams of getting drafted by a Pro Bowl. Somebody paid me to do this game?
Right.
Heck yeah, I'll do this, man.
Right.
Who are you drafted by?
The Braves.
You're drafted by the Braves in the mid-20s.
Yeah, somewhere
there. Somewhere in there. So you weren't, an organizational pick. You weren't a coach's pick or a scout pick. You were. That's a respectable place to go as an outfielder guy because the first 10 rounds are dominated by the dominant guys in pitching.
Yeah.
And then they kind of fill in there.
And you're underclassmen, they want those. They want I was a senior,
And you were,
you know how our leverage going on back in the day.
Right, exactly. Yeah, one of the juniors.
Yeah.
Those guys. So you go up. What was that experience like?
It was good. It kind of got off on the wrong foot about like my first year at Florida State. So I had allergies, and I went to I have allergies to pollen and a bunch of other stuff. You may remember me sneezing in the outfield at TCC like 50 times in an inning.
Yes, I also remember you, me, Jeff, and about 4 of the guys when the pine trees would shake, would flee, would run.
Right.
It just leave.
So I went to my first year at Eugene, Oregon. And
Pine Tree Central.
Pine Tree, and it's like a bowl, And I got out there, and I'm not blaming it. Now, don't get me wrong. I had about my first 2 or 3 games before it caught up to me, and I was over in those. So, but then after about my 3rd game, it got so bad to where, I couldn't see. Yeah. I had contacts, and I couldn't see. My eyes were watering and itching, like I just wanted to jam my fingers down in them. And, man, everything went sideways. And I think I started out like 11 for 77. I think I was hitting like a whopping 077.
That's a tough one.
But they stuck me out there every day. They let me keep playing. They let me, kind of do my thing. You're going to go to center field every day. And I ended up hitting 265 or 268, whatever it was. So it started all slow. It came back around. It was a definite. It was an eye opener.
The culture's different there.
Yeah,
everything's different there.
It was more of a resort back kind of to junior college, but maybe even a little step below. You had young kids. You had 18, 19-year-old kids, and then you had 21, 22-year-old kids. And they were from all different backgrounds, ethnicities, all over the place. Mexico, Puerto Rico, United States. You get one from California and then one from New York and Texas. And
Canada.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And so it was a big adjustment coming from, Florida State and people.
Well, and that's your hometown. And of course, Florida State, it's a small place with a very big school.
Very big school.
And you're treated pretty well. You travel pretty well.
Yeah.
I think things are, and it's a little, now you're riding on a crappy bus.
It was okay. It wasn't bad. You're on it all the time.
Yeah.
You're on it a lot. Or out of the places I played, Oregon was awesome.
You liked it?
I loved it out there. The people were great. The we had as many showing up to the minor league games in Eugene as we did at the Florida State games.
Wow.
Now, when I was in, say, Jamestown, New York, you get like 200. You know what I mean? But there, you get 5,000 people, every game. And it was a beautiful place. It just, you got right back into kind of losing your train of thought. The train rolls off the track a little bit. Well, it's kind of tough to get it back on. A lot of things are happening that when things are going smooth, you don't even notice. But then all of a sudden things maybe ain't going so smooth, and then the next thing you know, these little bitty things happen, and then it just kind of snowballs a little bit from there. I didn't think I did terrible. My first year, we had a shortstop that got drafted or he got drafted in the second round. That was, had a scholarship to play football at the University of Washington. He was our shortstop that year in Eugene. And, he had all the talent in the world. But he's a shortstop, made an error a game, struck out about 1.5, 2 times a game. Boom. Next year, I show up, he's in center field. Which was a great move by the organization, crappy move for me.
Yeah, bad move for mine, because that's your
bad move for me.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, he moves up to the next level. Brian stays at the same level.
Right.
He's playing Brian's position. So, I played out that year. Then you start reading the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
How long am I going to do this? I went into the office, asked for a release. They basically looked at me and, why do you want a release? We value you, this, that, and the other. Basically, they asked if I would be willing to pay. I said, I'm going to go home. I've got a degree. I got it in 4 years. Because they wanted, what are you going to do with yourself? Well, I have a college degree. I'm going to go home and I can see the writing on the wall. I'm not going to try and go anywhere else. Well, they asked me to try pitching.
Yeah.
And that's where, I pitched for a year.
Which you pitched in high school.
I pitched in high school.
But now the arm's healthy.
It's healthy at this time. And they rated it at that point in time. There was a kid named Rafael Furcal. Rafael Furcal and one other guy, they rated it as, right behind them as the best arm in the organization. They knew it was pretty accurate. They asked me if I'd try pitching. I tried it, started to hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
You're out there, you continue to try and do it. And then once my arm was hurt, I just kind of called it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just didn't go right from the start.
Well, and the organization changes. You mentioned organization earlier. We kind of stomped on that. When you get into pro ball, it's a different structure.
Yeah.
Completely. You're on your own.
You're on your own, but you do have coaches that are willing to help you when you ask for it and you need it and show up to early hitting. I don't feel like I got the instruction at the level that I was getting from Jeff Hogan or Mike Martin or it was just simple little things. Get right here or do it. It just didn't suit me well, and it kind of really went wrong from the start. It was unfortunate. I hated that it went that way, but you can see it. Just like the difference in these 2 years, you can see. That year that I had a crappy year, you could see what was going right for certain players. And then, the next year when it was going right for me, you could see the guys that were having the year that I was having the year before. And it just didn't roll right. But unfortunately, at that point in time in your career, there's no second chances.
No.
You know what I mean? Like when once kind of that becomes done, there's no other option.
You're done.
You're done.
You're at the pinnacle anyway.
You're
the only other level is the big leagues, obviously. But yeah, this is kind of it.
That's the last person that can tell you no.
Right. That's the last one that can tell you no. Exactly. But I mean, you're also at a point you understand too, and I know you know this. In high school, it's a sport. In college, it's a sport business. Yeah. But in pro ball, it's a business sport.
It's a business sport.
It has to be that way. It's not a bad thing. But yeah, you start seeing dudes where it's like that shortstop's going to play.
And I don't think I ever got it that way. You know what I mean? You come from Florida State, it's fun. It's, you're playing with each other, you're playing as a team. It didn't really seem like it mattered if we won or lost.
No,
and that's tough. And it's a totally different, you guys that went 3 for 5, I mean, you could, their radio was playing or their earmuffs were on and they were jamming, and the guys that went 0 for 5 and had, 0 for their last 11, and, Johnny's, sitting over there creeping up on your spot, it's tough. It's a tough environment.
Even in the dugout, it's a little more cutthroat, and it's not. You don't hit behind runners in A ball.
Not really.
No, you don't lay butts down.
Really.
You don't do it. What you're trying to do is get out of A ball.
Yeah.
And the way you get out of A ball is to hit 330.
Yeah. That's it.
And so whatever that takes.
Yeah.
And you lose a little bit of that camaraderie, that team thing.
And some people get it, and you can see the ones that get it. They thrive in that. Ryan Freeland.
Oh, loved it.
I mean, he thrives in an environment like that. Just the environment for me, I think, is what got me.
Yeah.
In the end, I think it's probably what did me in. And it does a lot of guys in.
Oh, no, it's...
Once you get to that point, there's a few here and there. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are guys on the team, you're wondering, like, what I mean? Like, what are they doing here?
Right.
And they may have been wondering that about me. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, most of the guys on that team at that point, the difference in them is basically consistency.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. Most of those guys are throwing at that time, they're throwing between 90 and 94, 95 miles an hour,
and that only goes up as the relievers come in.
Right. And, but we had a left-hander on our team. I mean, he was 5'10", 5'11". He threw a fastball that did that number. He threw 3 pitches for strikes. The little guy threw 90, 91 miles an hour, but everything he threw moved.
Yeah.
And, it looks to me like as a hitter, you're going to be fighting at the bat rack. Like, hey, man, I want up. The guy got everybody out.
Yeah. Close to 0 for 4 you had all week.
Next thing you know, you look up and like 4 years later, 5 years later, there he is, man. And it's crazy. It was a different environment. It's crazy how it worked for some people. It's crazy how it didn't work for some people.
Yeah.
You saw a lot of talented people that just didn't work out for them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I was one of them.
Yeah.
Then you saw a lot of them that, it did.
Yeah.
And, it's like I said, it's this big difference, just like we were talking about with that right there.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Difference in one year to the next, and when things get rolling in one direction, having that, mental fortitude or that to turn it back around in that direction and fight with what you're doing. You know what's right. Don't keep going in this direction. Don't keep doing the same thing. Get back to what you were doing. And I think I lost some of that.
Yeah.
I think next thing you know, going up to the plate, come back to the dugout.
Right.
Going up to the plate, going back to the dugout. Next thing you know, games are taking like an hour.
Yeah.
It's really taking 4, but in your mind, because it's so jumbled.
Well, it goes, when you're getting your butt kicked, it goes fast.
It hurts.
When you're hot, I can't get to the plate faster. Why am I not up?
Yeah. Ball's big. Feels like it takes a month to get to the plate.
Yep.
Everything slows down. The game slows down. Everything. When it starts snowballing, it snowballs pretty quick.
And it's a pretty lonely feeling. It is really, you feel like an island.
People don't want nothing to do with you. They don't want none of that juju.
Yeah, you can sit over there.
I'm hot over here.
Right.
And that's the environment. It's the environment, just like when you go out and you rent an apartment, and it's time to start paying your own bills, and you got to figure it out on your own. You got to get up the next day. You got to go to work and figure out what works for you. It's the same thing. It was different. It was tough.
Well, there's a lot of innocence that's lost at that level.
You hit it.
You have to mature in about a week.
Yeah.
So those 18-year-old kids, some of them 17-year-old kids coming from the islands, look, it's for real right now. You lose that innocence.
You do.
But again, you mature through that loss of innocence. But it is what it is. What gave you the most trouble up there? Was it just how the structure was, or did you find? Because we've interviewed other players where they're going, when it gets up around 95, I just can't get it. Or
it's tough. The pitcher's got a little bit more wild, put you a little bit more on edge.
A-ball is tough.
It's
to
tough.
hit because dudes are throwing 100.
They're throwing 95.
On the backside.
Yeah, and then, the slider, the slider was tough. It was a little bit easier in college with that TPX, when you got to find the sweet spot, when you're looking for that 93-mile-an-hour fastball that's got a little cut to it.
Yeah.
And then that guy throws you that slider, that sweet spot on that wooden bat plate.
That's only 1/4.
But it gets small,
Yeah.
It gets small, it gets tough, and then what you were talking about earlier, getting a little bit out of whack in a swing, where when the swing was right, you could see it, but I had an ability to, even when I got out of whack, I could still find the barrel here and there.
Yeah.
Man, that got tougher.
Yeah.
That got tougher there.
Yeah, because the movement, it's a little more movement. The velocity is a little more velocity. The
Yeah.
spin's a little more spin.
I was a little bit less comfortable
And the tolerance
on my feet.
Yeah.
A little bit less comfortable on my feet and in my stance, and it's embarrassing saying that. I just told my kid the other day, if you're scared of baseball, you need to put it up. But in the back of my mind, back in those days, that some of that plays into my, why you fall out of whack. Why you're not doing the things at the plate that you should be doing. Why, when you're picking that front foot up and putting it down, man, it's creeping out just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And it may not be a fear thing, it's an uncertainty sometimes.
Uncertainty.
Just not confident in my ability yet, Yeah, no, you're right. Instead of up and down and I'm purposely intentional and aggressive, you're kind of hoping to hit it.
And then it goes quick. And then it goes very quick. And before you know it, you look up and it's like, damn, this didn't go. You know what I mean? Like, this just didn't go right. It didn't go the way you planned on. Because your whole life, you just show up, you do what you do, things go smooth, bam, bam, bam. Yeah. But now you're looking at, kids from all over the planet that really kind of have just as much talent as you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And thrive in those situations maybe a little bit better than, the organized environment that I'm used to thriving in.
Right.
So
because you got to go find construction there. They're not going to come grab you and say, "Let's go."
Not a lot.
No, there's no hugs. There's no hugs in pro ball.
Hugs, no, not a lot.
No, none of that.
I had great coaches. One guy was Jim Sauls. He was a great guy, but I don't ever remember there being a whole lot of instruction. He was the manager. He put the guys on the field. He let them play. He'd chew on the umpire's butt. He was really
sterile.
Awesome guy. But he had, you got to have guys that can travel around and family and stuff like that.
And they don't make no money.
Not a lot. Well, neither do we.
Yeah, no, you got to make. They're paying you, but they ain't paying you much.
I think when I played my first year, it was like $900 a month.
Yeah.
My second year, it was like $1,100. Third year, it was maybe $1,300 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's not why you're doing it. You know what I mean? Nobody's doing it at that point for the money. You got parents, you got people that want to see you live out your dream and stuff like that. So the money is, it's really a non-issue. Right? It was a different environment. And it snowballs on some people. I saw it snowball on a lot of people.
Yeah.
Faster than it did on me.
Yeah.
So.
Any stories? Any cool stories from that level? We had Reichert on here, Brandon Reichert. He's a little younger than you. He's the king prankster of every level he was at. But you got any? I mean, I told a story on you, but
man, I'm trying. Yeah, well, we can tell that. I don't really have a lot of them from that I can tell on here.
Well, I tell you. That's the problem, right?
That's the problem.
That's the problem. When we went to postseason, I told the story a little bit. We can tell a little bit more. We went to postseason the first time the program made it. The program's only inception. I was the beginning of the program.
Right. I
was the first player, one of the players. And then I was assisting when my career ended right there. And you were in 94, 93?
95.
95.
I came to TCC.
Right. So we get there and and we were loaded, man. I mean, Freya was a dog, and we had straight dudes and stuff like that. And we had heard, I'm in a scouting meeting with, I forget who it was, Bobby Link or somebody like that. Because when you go down there, I meet with the other coaches and the other conferences. Right. Okay, we're playing so-and-so. So I'm trying to get information, and I get some information. But, no, he's not pitching. It was Central Florida who was our first.
Central Florida.
He ain't pitching. He's waiting on the draft. And he was a dog. Big dog. Cameron McGlinchey. Big dog. And it's like, whoo, man. So the game plan shifts this way or whatever. And it was like a 10 a.m. game. We were bottom seed. There was nobody in the stands. It was dead quiet. And we're doing pregame, infielders are doing, before all that goes on after batting practice. I got John doing pregame with him, and we hear sound like bacon cooking across the stadium. I was like, damn.
There he is.
And sure enough, I run back in the dugout, and already McLeod and Jennifer talking. Was like, yeah, he's pitching. He's coming. God, so we got to change. And he was an upper 90s guy.
Yeah, for sure.
A pretty clean upper 90s guy.
With a little bit of...
With a little
dog to it.
With a little turn leg on it.
Dog to it.
Yeah, with a little dog to it.
Yeah.
And he's a Northeastern guy, and his club, they got into the tournament. I think they got hot at the end.
Right.
They were not, I wouldn't look across and go, wow, I'm not really afraid of many of these guys, okay, except him. Yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah. We get out there, and they don't play well at all.
No.
And we're kind of, I mean, we're not hitting much on the barrel. We're nickeling and diming him.
We met him in the first inning or two for like a run or two.
Yeah, run or two. And he's, and he's a pretty fiery dude. Northeastern,
Yes.
Boston guy, kind of
Yes.
fire up guy. And they make, I think, the third error. I don't know what inning, third or fourth inning. The third error in a row. And he is hot as a match.
He's coming up.
And he gets the ball back, and he gets behind the dugout. He scores behind the mound. And he comes up and get in there. And it's you.
First pitch.
And it's kind of like, oh man, what do I do? And he gets right about here. You start hollering.
Yeah.
And look, and you took it. Everybody knows what's coming.
Right.
And we didn't do anything wrong.
No.
He was just mad they were playing so bad.
Right.
He's waiting on the draft. It's a big number for him. He's a first-round guy. And he is mad. And he smokes you in the ribs or the arms.
I believe it was here. I think it was here. I think maybe it was right here in my ribs. And I remember screaming like a girl. And, it was about that far out of his hand. You know what I mean?
Right.
About right there. And I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming. And you couldn't get spun around quick enough. You know what I mean? You're looking middle of the way, you know? I couldn't get there. And he got me right there. And I remember actually the squeal coming out of my mouth as I'm trying to spin. And it gets me. And it curls me down.
It was not a glancing ball. You know where the ball ended up?
It's still like right there.
It went right there. Right next to your foot. You almost fell on it.
I fell on it.
Yep.
So I'm down on the ground and I'm squirming around and I got my head down in my helmet. It's like, my helmet does this. My helmet does this number right here and I'm coming up off the ground and I get up. And as soon as I get up, the first thing I see is Coach Hogan at third base. And I just start walking to him. And he's going.
You're going to third. Go to Leo.
He's going. Go to Leo. Go to first. So the next.
You finally got to me. And
5 years later.
Well, wait. I'm standing because you got to get to first.
Yeah.
I'm standing. First base is right there.
Yeah.
I'm here. The first baseman's over there.
Yeah.
And the umpire's standing right next to me, and he's ready to. And you're because you couldn't stand up. You couldn't stand up, and you finally hit the bag and nearly collapsed.
Yeah.
But that was your first time you took a breath.
Yeah.
And hit the bag, and the umpire's like,
No, he's gonna need that.
we don't need to get. We were standing this close, he and I.
Oh man, it hurt.
But the funniest part about that
Yep.
is the story's not over.
5 years later,
What happened?
4 years later, I'm with the Atlanta Braves. I didn't know Kevin McGlinchey paid for the Atlanta Braves at all. You go off, you get drafted, you go off to short season A.
Yeah.
Didn't know anything about it. I didn't go through the book and see who was doing what in double A or single A or whatever. So you come back the next year for spring training. And we're doing spring training, all this, that, and the other. And we're sitting there and we go to the pool. You got a lot of time off during spring training. We go to the pool 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We're all sitting there hanging out, radio's playing, having a good time, having a couple beers. And there was a group of guys sitting there, and one of the guys was like, I knew a couple in the group, but I didn't know the other 3. And one of the guys was like, "Hey man, this is Brian Cox." And as soon this is Brian Cox. I played with him last year in Eugene. He's from Florida State, and everybody's like, "Nice to meet you." And as I'm coming around, his hand is sitting right there, and we go to shake hands, and he says, "You still mad at me?" He remembered.
Yeah.
He remembered the name, and I was like, man, I was hoping you know what I mean? I was hoping this was going to go like that. I was hoping it was all cordial and everything's good. He's like, oh, yeah, you took the shit into that deal. So
Oh, yeah.
why would I do that? Why would I do that?
You get smoked, right?
Why would I do that? You took the shit into that shit. So it was all good. So yeah, 4 years later, he knew he was going to do it. He knew it was my turn to wear it, and I did. And we met each other 4 or 5 years later, and there's easy peasy.
Yeah, well, you're dudes, and it's over, and whatever. And he wasn't mad at you; he was mad at his guys.
Right.
Because they were playing really bad. They looked like hippopotamuses on roller skates. It was a bad game.
I don't think we had them but 2 or 3 to 1 at the time. You know what I mean? He's throwing a million pitches, and so he was.
Man, Jeff and I laughed when we shut the podcast down. We went to that story again.
Yeah.
Oh Oh, that was one of our favorites.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're at the point now. We're going to talk about what's called, I call the 10 and the 5. I'm going to ask you 10 questions, and they're fun. It's all fun. The last 5, we're going to. I'm going to pry into you a little bit. We're going to dig into your heart a little bit.
Right.
Let's say, okay.
Right.
You ready?
Yep.
All right. Seeds are gone.
Seeds.
What kind? You're a seeds guy?
Yeah.
You like the flavored seeds or the
Just regular salted.
Just regular salted seeds.
Yeah.
All right, that's your go-to?
Your flavor?
Oh, God, they've got
Ranch, barbecue.
barbecue.
I just like regular salted.
Just regular, those old David seeds.
Old school.
Yeah. Day game, night game.
Mid-afternoon.
You like the mid-afternoon?
Mid-afternoon going into night. Yeah.
Oh, so it's cresting into the night?
Yeah, those are nice.
Okay, so
Friday afternoon going into night.
yeah. So Fridays, that's the game.
That's the game. Fridays are the day.
Because that's everybody's getting off work. They're getting there in about the 4th inning.
Yeah.
Sun's setting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of nice, isn't it?
Those hit right, yeah.
Yeah. Grass or turf?
Grass.
All day, every
All
day.
day, every day.
Yeah. Well, you're an infielder too. That turf on that second hop's coming at your teeth.
Yeah, turf's tough. I don't like it too much. Grass, prettier.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go to a baseball field, man. I mean, you want to see grass, you want to see some dirt, you want to see some lines.
Yeah.
You know, you want home plate painted. You know, you see that cart riding around and
Dragging it out.
dragging that thing out. Yeah, man. You
Hosing it, wet it down.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
I get it. It's
I used to
tough.
sit there and watch that, man, when they did that at Florida State. Those guys, it was freaking awesome watching them take
Well,
it.
then, like everybody else now, they're going to brush it every odd inning anyways. They're going to come to the 3rd, the 5th, the 7th and knock it down again.
Oh, yeah.
That is nice.
Yeah.
Home or away? Which did you like better? Did you like playing at home or did you like on the road?
Home. Every home field I ever had, yeah.
Definitely
home.
You rather away games are fun, but
Away games are fun, but yeah, no, you're more comfortable at home. From Florida High, North Florida Christian, TCC, Florida State, Eugene, Oregon,
yeah,
Jamestown, New York, home is always better.
home's better.
Always.
There you go. DH or pitcher hit?
DH.
You like the DH or pitchers and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it adds another element to the game, but nobody wants to see all that, you know?
They bunt half the time anyway.
I mean, you know, they want to do it, and they want to get up there and take their hacks, but nobody wants to see all that. I get it, they like it, and they want to do it.
Moving on.
But I mean, baseball, you know, I mean, you got to add some sort of excitement to the game. And a DH, you know, maybe a hit or a home run. Or,
Right.
you know, he's a big fella. He might, you know, slide into somebody hard at second base or something like that. You know, get some action going on in the game. Pitcher ain't
Right. Put your jacket on and bunt. That ain't
Pitcher ain't had no action.
Yeah.
So,
batting gloves or barehanded?
bad gloves.
You like the batting gloves?
Yeah.
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 Pullover jersey. Okay. The pullover or the button up.
Button up.
You like the button up? Why? The look?
More comfy.
You like it?
It seemed like the ones that you pull over were always tighter.
Well, now, did
It
you
may be different now.
did you have pullovers at FSU?
And, yep.
Now, we had the discos, and they were the worst pullovers in the history of the
Yes.
world.
Yeah.
Those were made out of asbestos and wool.
But
They were terrible.
button-ups had that flexibility with the button in that, you know, with the
Yeah, yeah.
string that holds the button. You had that flexibility in this area.
Yeah.
And I liked shirt underneath, tank, button up,
So you had an undershirt, you had a BP top on, and then you put a tank on,
button up,
and then a button up.
button up. That was my
Okay,
favorite.
that was your favorite. All right, cool. Socks or stirrups?
Stirrups.
You like
I
stirrups,
like stirrups.
and a sanitary sock and the stirrups.
Sanitary sock.
Is that a comfort thing for you, or is that the look, or both, or what?
I think it's a look. I don't mind the sock, but I like seeing. I didn't pull my stirrups up. I just left them where you saw just a touch of sock.
Yeah.
So you had that, color coordination in there.
Right.
And then, I wore the knee high most of the time.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's not your next question.
That's
I just answered.
right there. So you're going stirrups and knickers.
Yeah, stirrups.
Stirrups and knickers. Yeah.
And I like the knickers now. I just noticed this about 2 years ago. They're actually building knicker baseball pants.
Yeah.
Where it's just all they do is go to that.
Right.
You know, instead of having to pull them up
And blouse them.
and blouse them.
Yeah, that was tough because, I mean, you're on, especially in junior college, one of the budgetary constraints that you're going to have is going to be uniforms.
Right.
Because baseballs, you're going to have 70, 80 dozen baseballs. So you're going to go through. Umpires are very expensive, travel, all that stuff. So when you guys were with us and pulling them up and blousing them over and things like that, you want them because well, you had to put in that elastic.
Right.
That
It was like
elastic.
a fat roll in your jeans. You know what I mean? You constantly had to work it. You know?
Yeah, you're always working and it's kind of a little puffy and stuff.
Yeah.
But you're right. Now they make them where they just,
Yep.
they're, I think it's cool.
I do too.
I think it's great.
I think it's great. And then, you know, I would have probably wore the ones that, you know, are, you know, bell bottoms at the bottom. You know,
Yeah, slacks.
the slack ones. I would have probably wore those. And I'm not a big mid.
Yeah, that was my favorite. I wanted the slacks. As a catcher, this up here cut my circulation off,
Yeah.
and I wanted it all the way down.
Yeah.
All the way down.
And my ankles were always skinny. You know what I mean? I needed to get that stuff up here and make this get this looking thick.
Yeah, you
know
look-
what I mean?
you look a little
looking
thicker,
thick.
yeah.
Either cover them up or get it up here and make it look thicker.
If you look right, you play right,
You
huh?
look good, you feel good. You play good. You look good, you feel good.
There you
look
go.
Good, you play good.
Sports drink. What's your color?
Oh, red.
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 You're the first one on red.
I like red. You can tell I'm kind of old school, all my answers, man.
Oh, no, I did
That goes
that.
back in the day, man. Green?
Green and orange were the only two that we had.
Yeah.
I'm older than you. Only two that we had. And that was the only two that worked out for
Yeah.
years.
I think we
And the
have a
first
good-
one I tasted, actually, beyond that, they didn't even make this anymore. It's called a 10K at FSU. And they had a red one there that was like Hawaiian punch, but it wasn't Gatorade.
We had a Powerade.
Yeah, you guys were Powerade.
But we always had blue. We always had the blue, or you know, there was green. Maybe if I go to the store right now and I pull a Gatorade out or a Powerade, or it's probably gonna be a red one.
It's gonna be red. Okay. All right. That's that. Hey, what you like is what you like, brother. That works. All right. Let's dig a little bit here. All right. What's the accomplishment that you're the most proud of? Now, you can do. I'm changing this up a little bit.
Okay.
I want something related to baseball, and then you can say something personal outside of that, because everybody seems to roll back to family. But we're going to talk about accomplishment that you're the most proud of. Degree, baseball.
Yeah, getting my degree in 4 years, and you know that 1998 season, that All-American ACC, you know, All ACC. That was, you know, now that I look back on it, you know, when you're in it at the time, it wasn't. You know, you didn't really think about it a whole lot, but
Yeah.
getting 20, 25 years down the road, getting a little long in the tooth, you know, you start to think about that and appreciate that a lot more. And I would say, yeah, probably in the game of baseball, that's probably been one of my biggest.
Yeah, there aren't very many of those handed out,
Yeah.
and you have to earn that. That's not something that is politically driven.
Yeah, you get the brick, you know, you get the brick at Florida State, it's going to lay there forever. You know, your name's always etched in.
Now, when you say the brick, it's an actual brick
It's a brick paver, yeah.
with your name on it, and there's a section they have outside the tradition room
Or Doak Hamel Stadium.
Right.
It's in between there and the baseball.
in the baseball field where all the All-Americans go,
Right.
and it stays there.
It stays there forever.
Forever.
Your spot's always marked.
Right.
You know what I mean? That, you know, that's pretty cool to me. You know, thinking about that.
Super cool.
Yeah.
How about personal?
You know, my family, wife and kids, you know.
And you and Patty, how long? You and Patty dated from high school or
It's like
college?
10th grade in high school.
Yeah.
We had some on and off, you know, where she moved to Tennessee like our junior year.
Yeah.
But then she moved back, and her parents stayed there. She moved back, you know, to come to high school here and
Yeah.
live with a friend of hers.
Yeah.
And then I think she went to her first year, and then she came back as a senior in high school. Then she moved back to Tennessee for her first year of college, which was my first year at TCC.
Mm-hmm.
And then she came back then, my sophomore year at TCC. And pretty much since then, it was pretty steady. We had one little breakup in there, which like most people do, but it's been, I'm 47 years old.
All I remember you, and I've known you
Yeah.
since high school.
It's been
I've
30
only
years.
known Patty with you.
30 years, 30 years, 31 years.
Yeah, 2 sons.
Yeah, 2 sons, awesome little kids.
Yeah.
Mind their manners, act right, had nothing to do with me. But luckily they came out that way.
Yeah.
Great kids. Never would have envisioned that for myself, When I was looking back at being 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, that's just something you don't think about. And now here I am,
Yeah, it's cool now.
It's cool now. It's cool now. You go watch them.
Yeah.
My kid made the JV baseball team the other day, man.
Yeah.
He hadn't played baseball in 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm out in Kansas, 10 days, for 10 days.
Yeah.
Dad, I want to try out for the JV baseball team. I made it. Heck yeah.
This is like a week ago.
This is like 4 days ago.
Yeah.
And no pressure. He just went and did it on his own, decided he was going to do it.
Yeah, and your kids, you didn't push baseball down the road or anything like that. If they want to go fishing, go fishing. If they want to ride skateboards, go ride skateboards.
If you want to go fishing, let's go.
Let's go. Right. If you want to play baseball, let's go through.
Let's go through.
It's not one of those.
You gotta come to me.
Right.
You come to me, I'll do anything you want to do. Right. And he played baseball for a while, and then he quit. He got hit in the neck.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like how that works out.
That hurts.
Man, I think I'm done with that.
Yeah,
so every year I asked him, and he said, he wasn't interested. And then all of a sudden, boom, tried out, made the team. The other one, he plays soccer. Back to the one baseball. He's a competition ski shooter.
Really?
Yeah. Though, that's what he's done for the last 2 or 3 years.
So you find what you like, and you find what you're successful with. So how old was he when you started shooting ski?
12.
Okay.
And then he got to high school, and a bunch of his buddies, played baseball, and he decided he was going to go out and
hadn't picked up a ball in several years. Went out, made the team.
Went out, he barely found a pair of cleats at 2.5 years old.
Still sticking out of it.
His feet, his pants come up to about right here.
Yeah. We'll get that all fixed. Don't worry about it.
We're going today to get something. So to me, that's awesome.
Agreed.
As a kid doing that on his own, on his own fair will, that gives me a lot of joy.
Well, and it's ownership of it. This is what I want to do. Now, as a parent, you can go, that I'm going to support you.
Yeah.
I get behind you. I support you in all this stuff. Yeah. But sometimes when you're dragging them,
I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
I don't like that.
Because what we have to do it through our own volition. We have to voluntarily go.
Yeah.
And to be nudged a little, I get.
Yeah.
But to be pushed,
I don't know how much parents are pushing these days. When I was growing up, we didn't play as much summer ball as the kids are playing now. We did. We went off and played summer ball, but you didn't have to drag me to it. You didn't have to drag anybody on my team to it. And you hear about it. I hear about it from parents or this, that, or the other. I do see a lot of kids these days. They're going. They want to go. They want to play. There's a lot going on with it now. They hype it up. You got the Instagram and Twitter, and they see them saying that's a good thing. They see themselves on there, and it keeps them motivated.
Yeah.
And so for me, I wasn't seeing it. I was just excited just that my kid took that on his own and grabbed it and went and took it. That made me feel pretty good.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something to be proud of. Is there a loss that haunts you?
Yeah, one. Little League. We were playing Myers Park to go to the state championship, and we were winning like 2-0. And I think I'd faced, at that time in Little League, 6 innings?
Mm-hmm.
I'd faced 15 batters and struck out all 15. We come into the last inning. The guy hits a ground ball to the shortstop, a little two-hopper. Guy throws it over the first baseman's head. Then, I think I struck the next guy out. Then the next guy comes up, he hits a fly ball to center field. Center fielder catches it. The guy on second goes too far. And I'll remember it because it's the one that haunts me. The guy goes too far. The center fielder comes up, and it's 30, 20 feet, and he throws it over the second baseman's head. It would have been the third out. Game over. Runner makes it back, right? Yeah. The next guy comes up, hits a ground ball to second base. Second base. Second baseman comes to field it. It takes a bad hop, when things are going wrong.
Yeah.
He's right there. He didn't do anything wrong. Guy fields every ball he's ever felt in his life, that comes to him. Boom, bounces up, hits him in the chest, and goes just far enough, makes the throw, safe. The next batter, they bring up a pinch hitter. And they brought up the pinch hitter. I think they thought they were going to lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's inevitable.
Right.
2 outs.
Because you've been mowing.
No, every out I got is via strikeout. One little fly ball to center field from their best player, really. And then now we're down at number 8 in the lineup.
Right.
They bring in Scott Stevens. Do you remember Scott Stevens?
Yeah.
Scott stinking Stevens. He was a pitcher. He didn't even hit.
Right.
They hadn't hit the whole tournament. They want to get him in the game. I got him 0-2, and I throw him a curveball, and he hit the shit out of the plate. Gone. Left center field, gone.
It was probably the only one he hit.
I think it's the only one he ever got in his life.
4 years, right? Maybe ever, right?
I don't know what he did for the league, but I know I played high school with him all the way through, and I mean...
Couldn't hit out of the infield.
No. Me too.
And he wrecks you. Yeah.
That was a tough one.
It is unbelievable. People that don't play at a reasonably high level don't understand.
Yeah.
You remember it. But like you walked me through every out, you remember it. And that's 40 years ago.
Right. But the lining at the other end of the tunnel, his mom passed away from cancer like 2 or 3 years later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not very much, and she got to see that. So you start to find the little things. It bothered me for a long time.
Right.
It bothered me for a long time, but as you get older, you start to see that it don't bother me anymore, but it bothered me for long enough to tell a story.
Right.
Now I see the lining at the silver lining. You start to see things that way.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
How about the best trick, tip, or piece of advice you've ever gotten, and who's it from? This is a little bit of a tougher one because you get so many good. The higher you go, the nuggets really get better and better because they really get very how to win kind of thing, not how to swing or not how to pitch. But is there a Hoganism or is there something from Coach Martin or anything like that? Or
I can't really think of any tricks, Leo. Are there any tricks in baseball?
There's some stuff. I tell you, with you, one of the things that was a recurring theme with you, and all hitters have this, that's nothing you're doing wrong, but certain hitters hit better when certain things happen, when they do certain things.
Right.
For you, when your top hand was coming off, when your top
I was a let go. That means I got to full extension, and then it didn't have anywhere else to go.
It didn't have anywhere else to go. And what that did is that left your barrel and the ball in line with the pitch as long as possible, giving that room for error.
Yeah.
And I remember Jeff, and of course, when we recruited you, and I knew who you were, but Jeff, you really knew who you were, and said, "No, Jeff is going. Look, his cue is." Let that top hand off. Let that top hand off.
You know how he got me to that? I don't know if you remember this story. I hate to go off on it.
No, that's what we do here.
Here's where I learned it.
Yep.
Here's where I learned how short and sweet and compact a swing can be, and just hands to the baseball. You know what I mean? And he did this on purpose, and he'll probably tell you this story. He may have told it in the last time he did the podcast. I did, what do you call it? Where you buy a slash. So you square around, runners on first and second, you square around the butt, okay? As the pitcher gets in his windup, as he gets to the top of his windup, everybody's charging. And he did this with me on more occasions than once, because it helped me understand. So all it was boom, boom.
Right, you don't reset.
It's
back and forward.
All it was boom, boom.
Yeah.
And I did that, and the first time I did it, and that was where I really got. I don't think kids fully understand what somebody means when they say your hands to the baseball. You know what I mean? And how far ahead of your hands you can get from the barrel of your bat, and how far back you can actually hit a baseball over the plate.
Yeah, the barrel pins.
That's where I learned it right there, and that was the trick that he used on me to teach me without telling me.
Right, because it limits all of this.
The first time I did it, I don't know if you remember, the first time I did it, runners on first and second, boom, slash, boom, home run.
Yeah.
Home run.
Makes it easy, doesn't it?
No stride, no nothing. All it was a boom, boom.
Yep.
And that's where I started to get it.
Yeah.
Slowly. It still took some time.
No, it does. It does.
Took some time. But he would integrate that into my at-bats every now and then when he saw me stepping out or
Getting long.
getting the barrel in front of you, getting the barrel out, taking the barrel to the ball instead of your hands. He would always integrate that and he'd shorten me back up.
Right. So instead of going to the tee and let's work it in there, let's just change a little bit of what your approach is, right? Let's put the slash on.
Yeah.
Remember that? Remember that?
Sure that.
Here we go. We're back on again.
Yeah.
Those little nuances, and he was so good.
That's
Still
picking a
is so
player
good.
to do it with.
And planting that. Right. You can't do that with everybody.
You can't do that with Ryan Friel or John
Millicent
Millicent
or-
or that. No.
No.
But it was the right thing.
He had something different for them.
He had something totally different that he did for them.
That's where I look, and of course, I attribute my success as a coach directly, certainly to the coaches I have, but really to Jeff. Jeff is a coach at a whole nother level.
He's a coach at heart, man. He doesn't do it for money. He doesn't do it he does it because he loves it, and he loves seeing kids succeed.
Completely.
And I tell kids all the time from Tallahassee right now, if you ain't gone to Jeff Hogan
Yeah.
to hit, I just don't know what you're doing with your life.
Yeah.
That guy can take a session, a 45-minute session, and it's the most beautiful thing, whether you're watching it
Yeah.
or you're involved in it.
It's as simple as it can be.
It's as simple as pie. And
Right.
when you get done, I mean, get me somebody out there.
Right.
You made it. You may go over 4, but I need somebody out there because I'm fixing to rate.
Right.
And that's the way you feel when you leave.
Yeah.
And he works it towards that. You know.
All the good coaches, when you leave, you feel like $100 bill.
You were good at that. You were a BP thrower, man. You were real good at You were real good at
I learned from the best, man. I learned from Jeff.
You were real good at starting it. And, you get a guy in there, maybe it ain't looking real good and starting it. You were real good at like working him to a point to where when he got out of there.
Well, honestly,
you got to feel good when you leave.
You got to feel good when you leave.
Got to.
And you can't hit. You can hit until exhaustion, certainly, but you've got to hit. And then where Jeff was really, and again, you, me, many other people. Not the next one. Who won more? No, that was the one you're leaving on because that's the one you're going to think about in the car.
Yeah.
Not the 5 you're chasing to get back to that one.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I can't hit.
I always had it when I had to take that deep breath. Stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it wasn't going right, and you had to take that deep breath, stop. Do something else.
Yeah.
Do something else. Get back squared up. Come back to it.
Yeah.
You can't grind on it. You know what I mean? You can't just grind and grind. I mean, it's good. You need reps. You need to hit. But slow down. Take your time. Do it right.
Mm-hmm.
Do it with purpose. And, that Jeff was very good.
And look at the guys that he's worked at. David Ross is one of his guys. He's got Jared, one of his guys, FSU guy now. I mean, his coaching.
He got a whole FSU infield.
At Florida State. We talked about that.
Yeah,
The entire FSU infield moved from Florida High
to Florida State
for probably a good half to 3/4 of the year there. But he is one of those elite guys who I wish I could say this is all my stuff. I stole it.
Right.
I straight up stole it from him.
Yeah.
And guys like that welcome that.
They do.
Yes, absolutely.
They want kids to get better.
No, if you get this works, do it.
Right.
He's just and he's so much fun, right? How much fun?
Yeah.
God, you just never want to leave.
Yeah, no. It makes you great. It makes you want to stay around. And he's still, I know to this day, he's still just diamond BP.
Unbelievable. Now, I wasn't bad.
Diamond.
I wasn't bad.
Right.
But that old man can keyhole BP.
That's another thing. That kicking back around in a circle, a good BP thrower.
Yeah.
Having a good BP thrower is probably one of the biggest factors in how your day is going to go as a hitter.
100%.
100%, because you're trying to work on something. Basically, a BP thrower needs to put it on a tee moving.
Yes, on a tee moving. Exactly.
On a tee moving, so you can work in full, half distance on a tee moving.
Right.
And when you got a crappy BP thrower, boy, it's rough. And I had 2 of the best.
Jamie can put it in the keyhole.
I was talking about you and Hogan. Jamie every now and then, he'd like to work.
Well, he was a pitcher, so if you hit him too good, he'll sink you.
He would, if you get about 3 in a row, man, he'd put one down in on your ankles.
Yeah. No, but we did good. Jeff and I did good. He'd take over, I'd take over, stuff like that. But yeah, no, you're right. And another thing, we talked about this before we got on here, we can put this into the tricks and pieces of advice. The cage lies.
Yeah, the cage lies.
The cage
the biggest liar on the planet.
Biggest lie. The cage and the driving range.
If I'm a kid and I got a coach that's throwing me BP, that's throwing me crap, I say you're at a travel ball tournament.
Yep.
And I got a coach that's throwing me BP, and it's crap. And I get up there, and my first 2 or 3 or 4 swings are crap. And he's high, and he's low, and he's down, and he's over here. I'm just going to say, hey, Coach, I'm good, man. I got a little something going on right here. I'm just, I'm gonna call it a day today, and I'm going to go grab a tee. Yeah. I'm going to get somebody to throw me some soft toss. Right. Because it throws you out of whack.
Well, it puts you in a slump before you start playing.
It's terrible.
Yeah. But the kids that only hit in the cage, see, when you're in college, you're hitting on the field 80% of the time.
Right.
We'll go to the cage, early BP, late BP, or when we're working on something specific.
Yeah.
There was a time, and I wrote about this in the book, where we were teaching the guys to block the swing. But I think this is the year before you. So we went into the cage specifically to face a certain guy that we knew we were seeing, kind of thing. But if you're gonna take batting practice, you need to see the flight of the ball.
You need to see the flight of the ball.
You just have to see that.
You don't want to see
the
it.
cage will lie to you. Look, I go to the cage and you go to the cage right now. We both go to the cage. It'll look like we can still play.
Like
we can't.
No.
We can't.
No, it lies.
It lies.
It lies. Yeah, we did most of our hitting on the field. We did all of our extra work in the cage and on the tee. If something wasn't working or you felt something on the field, we always corrected that on a tee or toss or straight toss, right? Straight toss, side toss, anything. We corrected it with that.
Right. It's more prescriptive that way.
By that time, you had everything that you needed to you knew what you were supposed to be doing.
You were fully aware of your swing. I just need to go feel. Okay,
I need to go feel my. I can't feel myself dropping my hands, but all of a sudden you pull the video out and you're boom. Yeah. Instead of. Boom, so you can take yourself to the tee, and that's how you fix things like that. You just go over there and you work that.
Yeah.
So
those are great. That's good stuff. If you could go back in time right now, is there something you would do differently? Is there something you would adjust? You're looking back on your career, high school, college.
I don't think so.
I mean, even the bad stuff, and it's not bad stuff, but 264, 393 is a big difference. But I don't think you hit 393 without hitting 264.
I've never done that before. Yeah. So I think it helped me a lot. I would have liked to have done things differently. Obviously, I don't know that I would change it. It changed my mindset. It changed my approach. It changed my mindset. It changed my demeanor in general. Mm-hmm. It changed my attitude. How I perceived and looked at things. So, I'm kind of appreciative of it. It was rough. Sure, I wish it was all, apples and oranges and fireworks every time I got up there. But I think it got me to where, that next year.
No, I agree.
I don't think I was who I am the next year without that.
Right. No, and I think that's exactly right. And you can't coddle. You have to fail.
Yeah, you have to fail.
You have to fail, and sometimes you have to fail publicly. Yeah. And at FSU, that's a public. Yeah. You're failing in front of thousands of people. Yeah. Then you come back and you're kind of.
I think pro ball. The one thing that I would have done different, probably pro ball. My approach to it would have been more of a business approach. Yeah. A little bit more head down, a little bit tougher, a little bit more seeing it for what it is. And, being able to go back and not let it slip away from you so fast, I think that would have, I would have done that a little differently. Yeah. Okay. Like I said, when you're into this stuff.
Yeah. Well, you can't see the forest through the trees.
You can't.
Fast. You just get there and you're getting used to pro ball, and all of a sudden we're a month and a half into it.
Right. We're 11 for 77.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that.
11 for 77.
My dad called
me. We remember stuff.
My dad called me on the phone. He said, "Sons," because they post that every now and then. And boy, like 1 week goes by and we got, you're playing in 1 week, you're playing 7 games.
Yeah.
Sometimes a doubleheader.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in those 7 games, I mean, you're popping out 35 at bats. You know, you start out like 8 for 35, right? Then the next week it comes out in the mail and it's like 11 for 77. He's like, son, is this real?
Yeah.
They got this right?
You got somebody playing prank on you.
Yeah, Poppy. Things ain't going real good about it. I'm working on it. Working on it.
Get back to the cage, right?
Yeah. Gotta go, man. I gotta go work on it.
Exactly. When it's all said and done, when it's all over, and then, you know, the baseball career is all over, but in your rocking chair, looking back on your body of work. Now, this you can answer any way you want.
Okay.
Is there one thing that you want to be remembered as or by?
Always a good husband and father.
Yeah.
Always. Number one. You know, I think as you get older, you take more pride in that. You know, baseball's kind of, it's been gone a while. You know, I don't think about it a lot anymore. I had a guy in football stands last night. You know, he was like, what's going on? What's your name, Brian? And he was telling me he's played over 50 softball. And I was like, yeah, I played that a little, you know, just conversating with him, appeasing. Yeah, I did that a little bit, you know, and not over 50, but I played a little softball, this, that, and the other. And he's like, well, I do this. You know, long story short, you ever play any baseball? And it's like, yeah. And you don't say, yeah, I played a little baseball in high school, this, that, and the other, you know, and then I got little Nolan sitting next to me, you know.
That's your youngest?
Yeah, and he's watched the video, you know, because I got videos that Florida State gives you, and when I went hunting one time this year, they pulled them out of the attic. My wife and kids watched them, you know. Yeah. They'd never seen them.
Okay.
And so Nolan's, you know, sitting there, and he played for Florida State, you know. My daddy played for Florida State, and so the guy starts. Yeah,
because that's, when you say that, to a guy who knows college baseball, they're
well, and when your kid says it compared to when I say it, you know, if I say it, he's probably, man, here goes one of these guys.
Oh, no, 100%.
You know?
And I don't want to give him that conversation anyway, because, I could have played, now I'm talking to a could have played guy.
Right. And so, you know, it's nice to see your kids proud of you. It's nice to see your kids come to you. Like, I can't wait for the day that my oldest, comes to me. He's going to struggle. He knows everything right now. Yeah. Man, he went and made the team. He got him a new bat. Mama went and bought him. Everything's free. Getting him a new pair of cleats coming in the mail tomorrow.
Yeah,
man, he did. I wasn't here when he went and made the team. He knows everything, right?
Yeah.
But I can't wait for it. I told him, come to me anytime you want. I'm not coming to you.
Yeah.
Come to me anytime you want, and I'll be more than happy. We'll go hit. We'll go do whatever. You know. And that day's going to come where he realizes he doesn't know everything, and he's going to come to me.
Well, that's
what I look forward to that.
Yeah.
You know, I really look forward to that, and can't wait till the day, you know, hopefully he doesn't have to. Hopefully he's got it all figured out. The kid hits 400 all the way up through. I'm going to watch him play for the Braves, you know. But, you know, I can't wait for the day that I get to go out there and do that with him. Just me and him.
On his terms.
On his terms, just me and him.
Right.
You know, I look forward to that.
Well, dude, I think that day's coming, man. It's a pleasure always, and